Hello, Norbert. Good to see you again.
GM. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thank you for having me. Super excited.
Yes, we're so happy to have you always. And I know you're busy. You were literally just hosting a space like 10 minutes ago.
Always goes like that. I like to speak, I guess. Can't help that.
I feel you. I feel you. Well, it's always much appreciated having you join us. We actually do have a special guest speaker joining us today as well. He is the Senior Business Development Manager at Consensus. He also leads product safety at MetaMask as well. So he'll talk to us a little bit about like Wallet Guard, which I believe was just recently acquired by, I think it was Consensus. Oh, there he is actually. Let's bring him up. But yes, guys, if you could all just do us all a favor, please like, retweet, and tag your friends to this space. There's like not a lot of these conversations taking place, and we need to equip ourselves with the knowledge it takes to protect our assets. Yeah, if you guys could just do us a favor and retweet so we can just get as much traction as possible. But Michael, it is so nice having you here, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. Much appreciated. Michael's going to drop some amazing security alpha for us. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Definitely great to be here. Appreciate the invitation. And Alien, when you reached out to me, it was awesome because like we didn't have a lot of mutual followers, and there's obviously a lot of scammers that try to get into people's DMs. But if you do your own research a little bit, it's easy to tell who's real and who's not. So would love to drop a lot of security alpha here for everybody here today. So please make sure you hit that box at the bottom right, like and repost the room. It's a recorded space, so people that can't make it right now could listen in later on. And big shout out to everybody that's here. You're going to be getting unlimited value and knowledge. Let's go.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, and I was worried. I was worried you were going to actually think I was a scammer in your DMs. But I was so happy to see that you actually responded to me.
You know what's funny? I've, sometimes we flag a project or a website because they get compromised, and we need to be able to stop our users from going to it. And when you're talking about a product like MetaMask that has over 30 million monthly active users, when we block a website, we get contacted, right? Like there's a lot of people coming in and they're wondering why it's blocked and whatever the case is. And we're always doing it to try to help. But the first thing we do, sometimes before we block something, is we reach out to the project, we reach out to the founders, and we let them know, look, there's an issue with your site. Let's say it's a SQL injection, or there's a malicious script that's running on it. We try to warn them so that they can take care of it so there isn't a lot of downtime. And maybe 1 out of 5 times that we reach out, or I hit up a project founder in the DMs, I have the hardest time trying to convince them that I'm actually from MetaMask and Consensus and I'm there to help them out. I'm not telling them to click on links. I'm not telling them to download a file. I'm simply giving them information so that we don't blacklist their website. And those 1 out of 5 times when they think I'm a scammer, I literally say, okay, no problem. You can reach back out to me once you see that your website has been taken offline. And within seconds, every single time, we get hit up right back and they're like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I thought you were a scammer. Please help me. Please help me. So it's kind of crazy to think like a lot of people sometimes they might be legit in the DMs, but you still got to stay vigilant, still got to stay safe.
Oh, that's actually you got to actually like respect them for, remaining cautious,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting though. But yeah, no,
But like,
thanks
look,
for
if I'm breaking down like the fact that, hey, we have over 1,000 mutual followers in common, I'm not telling you to click anything. I'm just telling you information. MetaMask and Consensus are following me. Like, look at my posts. They're not just reposts. I get tons of engagement on everything. Like that should be enough proof. But again, someone legitimate might have their account compromised trying to trick the person that trusts them. So good point. It is good on them.
Yeah, no,
I'd love
that's
to chime
that's
in
really
here,
helpful.
guys. First of all, let me introduce myself, Michael. I'm the senior content manager at Boss. It's very nice to be introduced to you. But I think I can relate a little bit, even though it's not exactly justified, but I can relate a little bit to the sentiment of the people that might be like, immediately assuming everyone's a scammer because, especially if you're running a crypto Twitter account, there's just so much spam and so much scammy things in your inbox, and at one point it just gets exhausting. And something lands in your inbox, and you don't even want to bother to go and like click on their account and check if it's real. It's just you just assume, right?
Yeah, you're just like, this is automatically a scam.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's the other half of this conversation. It's like it's not just about identifying what's fake, but also identifying what's real. How do you quickly do that in a way that's not going to be exhausting for you?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question, and I think a good piece of information for me to drop. I get contacted a lot of times where people are like, "Hey, is this website legitimate? Is is what it's claiming to be real?" And there's a couple of things that I do right off the bat, and I'm actually going to pin a post to the top with a lot of the tools that I use to audit something in order to see if it's real. And they're all free tools. They don't require you to install anything. They don't even require you to set up an account or connect your wallet, but they help you perform an audit on what you're about to interact with. So the first thing that I do is I use a tool which is Whois. Whois services let you look up information about a domain that potentially might have just been created. So a lot of times people get hit up in the DMs and they're like, "Hey, we've been building this game for months. We want you to beta test it." Or the message might say, "Hey, we're launching this project and check out our free mint." And if you take the domain that they're linking you to and you put it into a public Whois service, which again, I'll be linking to this in a pinned post at the top as soon as I'm done talking. If you put a domain into a public Whois service, you can see when that domain was registered, when the website was created. So that's your immediate introduction to figuring out if something is a red flag. Because if they're claiming they've been building for months, or they're claiming they're a project that's known, and their website was created an hour and a half ago, something's not right.
That's super brilliant. I really like the idea of being able to just vet people instantly like that and check if they've just created their account an hour ago and if they're just a total scammer. And you know, uh, and that kind of relates to another idea I believe of how to identify, say, legitimate projects in the space that aren't scams, which is just how long have they been around? I don't know how much of you maybe agree with that, but I feel like if you've lasted longer than an entire cycle, then that's a pretty good identifier that a project is pretty legit. If you're only coming in, say, for the bull market, which is this year and last year, and kind of jumping in on the hype train, then it's very easy for anybody to gain traction.
Yeah, I'll definitely. Yeah, go. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So I'm Bima from Bima. I even cut short my name, by the way. So I mean, I have a huge experience. Like I used to be early 2020, 21 in Polygon in the development front. So I have a lot of experience around this stuff. That okay, people are scammed. And being developer, I've seen okay how these guys got scammed. So yeah, I mean, phishing is there. Even like previously Twitter doesn't have the like everyone can be verified or whatever, but now even people can buy verification stuff on Twitter, so it's pretty hard to even followers can be bought, I guess. That's easy. Even I mean on daily basis everyone I think in our names might be seeing okay you can buy these followers at this much price or whatever. So I think legitimacy in terms of not just how many years that project is in the space, but even not just following because that can even be there. Like I think literally someone yesterday I like commented or something like that on some Ethereum Foundation stuff. They were mentioning something, and that guy, like a copy of that guy, literally reached out with more than following than that particular guy and retweeting the same content. So you know that is pretty tough to identify which one is correct, which one is
Yeah,
scam.
that's a good point. Like a few years ago, when there was like the NFT bull run and everything like that, someone actually created a second michaelk.eth account using my PFP, and they had more followers and more engagement than I did. It was kind of crazy. They were leading their users to scams eventually, but being able to like be like, hey, that's not the real guy, like it's actually the one with less followers, is kind of like you know a crazy situation to be in. But definitely a lot of great points. I did pin it up there to the top: ultimate web security tools. So just so you guys know, WalletGuard, I was the partnership director for WalletGuard. WalletGuard is a free open source browser extension that blocks wallet drainers. And it's not a wallet, it's not an NFT, it's not a token. You don't even have to connect your wallet to it or sign a signature to use it, let alone you don't even need a wallet installed to use it, but it can literally block a wallet drainer before you even enter a website or even connect your wallet or even run a simulation. So we were able to save users of WalletGuard. We had over 100,000 installs over a year and a half, over $60 million from scammers. $60 million that scammers didn't get because the users took the 2 seconds to realize what WalletGuard is and employ it into their tool set. But 6 months ago, we were acquired by Consensus and MetaMask. So we're actually bringing that same security engine of WalletGuard now directly inside of the MetaMask extension and the mobile application. So we're not just going to be helping secure 100,000 people. We're going to be helping secure over 30 million monthly active users. This is going to be game changing when it comes to safer onboarding practices and also getting an understanding of, what's safe to click on and what isn't. So just wanted to give you a little context on what WalletGuard is, because this is an article that is on the WalletGuard official X account. So it's Ultimate Web Security Tools. This is also a copy of this in the WalletGuard Academy, another free resource where we put all the articles that we think are essential to safe onboarding. But Ultimate Web3 Security Tools will give you guys a quick rundown. Again, these are the tools that I personally use anytime I need to perform a security audit on something someone sent me. And again, these tools don't require you to install any software. They don't even require you to create an account. The first one is VirusTotal. Did somebody send you a file, or were you told to download an attachment or install a video game or use some random software? VirusTotal lets you upload or link to that download or that attachment and confirms across over 60 antivirus providers if it's legitimate or not, if it has malware embedded in it or a Trojan embedded in it or not. So it's a good first line of defense when you're trying to understand if what you were sent is actually real. The second one is Unshorten It, unshorten.it. So a lot of services use link shorteners to mask links. When you click on the link, it ends up going somewhere else because they have a forwarding URL or they've completely masked that link. So if you pop that link into Unshorten It, it will unravel the link to show you its final destination. That could be crucial to confirming if a link you were sent is actually what it's claiming to be. Then we got Browserling. Browserling is like a website that opens websites inside of it. It's like a virtual machine that's running inside of a browser window. So you can put any website into it and it'll load that website not locally on your device, but through the Browserling service in a web page. That's massive when it comes to even visiting that link that might be malicious without letting it affect your device, but you want to see what it is. And then a couple of more here, and then I'll answer any questions. And I highly recommend bookmarking this article that I've pinned to the top. It's an unlimited value and resources. Pentester, pentester.com. It allows you to search the dark web for any information that might be leaked about you. Think about how crucial that is. You've been involved in multiple data leaks over time. This is all Web 2 stuff, guys, right? So you've been involved in these data leaks and your data's been sold on the dark web. Wouldn't it be interesting to see what's out there about you? So you might see passwords that you hopefully still aren't using. You might see your social security number. You might see your phone number. And if you see these pieces of information, it's even more of a drive to mitigate those issues. For example, if you see that your phone number is leaked on the dark web, and it might be tied to your email, your Apple ID, your Gmail, your Twitter account, guess what you should do? You should immediately remove your phone number from all those accounts as a recovery method. Regardless of if it's leaked on the dark web or not, you should never be using your phone number as a recovery method on any account. Because at the end of the day, you don't own your own phone number. The phone company owns your phone number, which means that anyone that wants to get into your shit could call up your phone company and socially engineer any of the thousands of employees that are working there into thinking that they are you. And once they have access to your phone number, guess what they're using it for? To get into your Gmail account, to get into your iCloud, to compromise your Twitter page. So I would hope that the people that you are following have taken the 2 seconds, or even the people listening to this recording or listening live right now, take the 2 seconds to go to the settings of your Twitter, to go to the your account information area, and please remove your phone number so you can completely eliminate being SIM swapped as a way to for your account to get compromised. So I know I gave a lot of information, I broke down a lot of links, but again, it's all there in the top pinned post, and I'm happy to answer any questions on any of these services or even ones that you might prefer using over these.
Thank you so much for that. I literally ran to pentester.com. This is the first time I've actually heard of it. And yeah, it looks like I'm pretty compromised, but I already knew that. Thankfully it was like very old accounts, but yeah, in terms of like just having removing your phone number, like I definitely agree with that. Like there's so many frauds here in like especially like just all around the world, right, with social security frauds and all that. So yeah, getting caught up in any of this is just, it's honestly very scary to think about, for them to like call your bank and impersonate you, or so on and so forth. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for also sharing more information about wallet guard. I was actually going to ask you about that, if you could just dive into that a little bit, but you already did that. So I guess like before we kind of like continue like further, Michael, if you just want to quickly just like give a quick introduction of like yourself, and like what you do with Consensus, your role with MetaMask and everything, and then if we have any questions from the community, I'll just start bringing people up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my name is Michael Kay. I am the senior BD manager at Consensus and also on the product safety team at MetaMask. And I come from the Wallet Guard acquisition, really focusing around a couple of different initiatives. We got a lot of different items that we've announced recently, including the MetaMask card, which is a way for you to use your on-chain assets in Web 2. It's literally it's not like traditional crypto cards that your money's on a centralized exchange, or it's preloaded. You sent crypto and they gave you a preloaded card. No, this is the MetaMask card. We're partnered with MasterCard. It's literally a direct link to your on-chain assets anywhere that fiat is accepted, and that's game changing for onboarding if you think about it, right? Like, imagine being able to directly access your crypto funds if you need them, in a scenario where instead you might have had to send it back to an exchange, sold it, waited for it to post, sent it back to your bank account, waited 3 to 4 days for that to post. So it really changes the game by giving you access to your direct on-chain assets. So MetaMask card is huge. A couple of other things that we've been working on. You might have seen that we unofficially announced that we're working on support for adding Bitcoin. So going multi-chain and becoming interoperable inside of MetaMask is going to be huge, not only for our existing users, but also driving that narrative to, as a wallet. MetaMask has always been privacy preserving. We've been focused on transparency. We've been focused on being open source. We even, as a wallet, allow our users to opt out of data submission, metric submission, which some wallets don't let you do. So, I think that it's going to be a massive value add to know that the most secure wallet is leading in this direction where we want to be interoperable, we want to work with everybody, and we want to make sure users are safe doing it and they know the wallet to recommend for people that they onboard. So a lot of different things coming down the pipeline. I'm super excited. 2025 is going to be insane, an insane year for growth at MetaMask.
Amazing. Thank you so much for covering that. That's very, very exciting. Exciting news for all of us, right, here in the crypto space. So, love that you guys are including so many security protocols to make sure that everybody's assets are as safe as possible. And thank you so much, by the way, for just doing what you're doing, and for basically just being such a strong advocate for all of us. Like, it's so appreciated. And again, just thank you so much for being on the space, because I feel like there's like not enough conversations like this taking place at the moment. And so shout out to everybody here as well. If you're here, also a big part of like doing your own research, doing the due diligence for yourself, is also about making sure that you're doing everything on your end to protect your assets, right? Like, what's the point in putting all that time to learning technical analysis and fundamental analysis, tying in macroeconomics, trading, just to get your assets stolen, right? So it's extremely important that we all do the due diligence and equip ourselves with the knowledge regarding security, safety, and everything to protect ourselves from hacks and scams, because these scammers are getting so creative. It's actually mind blowing. And I even want to talk about like some of the scams I've noticed, because I was job hunting for a while, and the scammers in the job space are literally insane. They've come up with some insanely creative ways to try and scam people, try to get you to download some kind of like supposed VPN, just different kinds of apps to like host the interview on. So I'd like to talk about that later as well. But
You know, would be great since you know, you're talking about it right now. I'm gonna actually pin up a situation that I dealt with of people attempting to scam me via Telegram through an interview. And I knew it was a scam, and I did this for documentation purposes, but this is a 10-minute sped up video regarding the whole process they went through, all of the fake accounts they created, and what they attempted to get me to do. And I'm also going to pin up another scam during a Zoom interview on what they attempted to do, and I'm going to break it down for you, because this is the type of stuff you got to watch out for. Because look, at the end of the day, like, no one fucking cares about security. Let's be honest. No one's going to care about doing anything we're talking about in this space until they get their wallet drained, until they get their data compromised. It's just human nature, unfortunately. You're not going to do anything about your security until it's too late. But if we can, you know, convince one person out of the hundreds or even thousands of people that might be listening to this space, if we could convince at least one person to be proactive, that's worth it for me, right? Like, even if there was a single listener right now, I'd still be talking the same way, because the message is still the same. We need to be proactive about security. When you're onboarding someone into crypto, if you're not mentioning security in any facet, you are setting them up for failure. You are doing a disservice to them. You are gearing yourself up to get that phone call or that text message where they're going to say, "What happened to my wallet? Everything is gone." And I'm sure a lot of you have dealt with that in the past. You might have dealt with it yourself. So this is why it echoes on why spaces like this are so important. And I greatly appreciate you for reaching out and you know, inviting me up here, because you know, we'll never charge people for security information. We'll never charge people for knowledge. Like, this is the type of stuff that needs to be amplified. I did pin up to the top the new Zoom scam tactic. This is something you should be sharing also with people you know in Web 2. This is not just a Web 3 threat. As a matter of fact, 90% of the compromises or the wallet drains that you see on the timeline have nothing to do with Web 3 at all, but they affect your Web 3 assets. Malware, Trojans, phishing scams, social engineering, it all existed before Web3. And people are letting it tap into their Web3 assets, which is very unfortunate. So, new Zoom scam tactic. So, I hopped onto this Zoom call, and there were about 6 people. They were claiming to be from NFT Now, which is a news publication. And they wanted to write up an article about whatever we're doing at MetaMask and Consensus or WalletGuard, right? So, they get me on this Zoom call after being in my DMs on Twitter and then creating a Telegram group and making it seem legit with a bunch of people involved. So, getting to the point of getting onto a call with the scammer is your final destination, because this is where people end up getting wrecked. So, what they did was, out of the 6 people they had join the call, they named one of the display names of one of the users Zoom, right? So, most of the time when you're using Zoom or you're using any application, if it pops up saying, "Hey, it needs access to continue," you're going to hit yes, allow, accept, agree. You know, this is Web 2 mentality. You're going to hit yes to anything that pops up on any device. So that mentality will get you wrecked in Web 3, and this is the exact reason why. This pop-up that you're seeing a picture of where it says Zoom is requesting remote control of your screen, most people would assume that it's just a pop-up or a prompt to let them share their screen, because it says Zoom is requesting. It's not saying, you know, the person you're speaking with or having a meeting with is requesting this. It's the Zoom application. And they were able to do this by naming a user display name as Zoom, right? Think about that tactic. So obviously I didn't hit approve. I hit decline and said, "You guys must be fucking kidding me." And then they dropped from the call because they knew that I knew it was a scam. But let's pretend that I hit approve. What would have happened? And again, this is both Web 2 and Web 3 threat, okay? If I had hit approve, they would have control of my device, and it would only take a millisecond for them to do what they need to do. Meaning, they don't have to go and click around and copy files or download or open my wallet. They are literally running a script that they're copy pasting into a terminal window, into a command prompt that is self-executing malware that performs a copy of all of your browser extension data, as well as a copy of any secure or iCloud keychain or any of that sort of data. And it's sending that data directly to the attacker's device, meaning they now have a copy of your MetaMask and Phantom and your Xverse wallet extension information. They also have a copy of all of your Chrome usernames and passwords, your login details, right? This all happens in a matter of a millisecond. All it takes is not paying attention and hitting yes or allow on something you don't understand, which is the same thing that people do in Web3. They sign signatures that they can't read, and then they wonder why everything is gone, right? So this is why it's so important to stay vigilant and understand that not everybody on the internet is your friend, and that you have to be aware of these threats that might not have anything to do with a wallet drainer, but will end up draining your wallet.
That's so sad. Especially because like people that are looking for jobs, especially in this job market, like are very desperate, and like it's a tough market right now. Like it's genuinely a very, very tough market. It's very competitive. I mean, if you go on LinkedIn, there's like literally like 3,000 applicants per listing. So it's very sad that, they're targeting people who are like extremely vulnerable. So yeah, like you said, it's extremely important to stay vigilant. And I'm glad obviously you didn't fall for that, but I'm glad you didn't fall for that. And I noticed that with Zoom links too, they've actually been kind of like creating almost an identical Zoom link. And then that kind of takes you to a website, which then basically downloads like some form of like malware. I've been seeing that happening a lot with a couple people as well on with Zoom links, Calendly links as well. I've noticed that you'll click on the Calendly link, but the final URL is like a completely like different like address to like Google Meet, for example.
Right,
And so
right.
people have been falling for that as well. Have
Yeah.
you heard about that?
Yeah, of course. And that's why one of the tools that I listed up top is Unshorten It, which allows you to paste that link that you were sent and see what the final destination is, right? Like you can tell if it's going to where it's supposedly claiming to go to. Now, the ultimate win when it comes to staying safe is that anything that's incoming, you should be vigilant about, right? So this is a good tip for also Web 2. Essentially, the tip is to go to the source. And I'm going to give some examples. If you are contacted by anybody through any means of communication, claiming to be anyone from any company, it is most likely 99.99% going to be a scam. And the way that you can confirm if it is or it is not is by going to the source. Meaning, let's say you got an email from Coinbase or Chase Bank or whatever bank you're using or whatever exchange you're using, and it says that there was fraudulent activity on your account, and to click this link to resolve it, or call this phone number to resolve it, or download or install this to resolve it. Basically, the concept is they're asking you to do something. You are contacted by someone from somewhere asking you to do something, right? That's the variable at its core. So if you were to go to the source, meaning you go to Chase Bank's website, you go to Coinbase's website or your preferred exchange's website directly with the link that you know, not the link they're claiming to be the right website. You're going to the source to confirm if what they're claiming is true, because most likely it's not. Most likely, if you call your bank directly, not through the phone number they told you, but the one that you know is your bank's phone number, you can confirm whether the claim is true. And most of the time, almost every single percent of the time, it is not true. Same thing with if you receive a text message from FedEx or Amazon about your shipment. You might have ordered something from Amazon, you might have not. Well, most people would engage with that link because they're expecting something. But you got to slow down and you got to go to the source instead. Go directly to Amazon's website. Log into your own account and see if that claim is true. Go directly to FedEx's website. Check if that claim is true with the tracking information that you know, not whatever's provided to you by whoever's claiming to be whoever they are. If this piece of alpha of going to the source was shared with everyone in Web3 and Web2, you called up your family members after this space. You called up your parents and your grandparents and you asked them, hey, you probably get a lot of text messages, emails, and phone calls from a bunch of scammers on a daily basis. It might be hard sometimes to tell if it's true or not. But just remember, go to the source. Think about how many scams we could prevent. Think about how much stress we could prevent from occurring. Think about all the nonsense we could prevent from happening, because these scammers do not care about you. They go to sleep perfectly fine at night knowing they just stole your last dollar, money that you worked hard for. To you, they're nothing. Like, to them, they're not. To them, you are nothing. So please share this information with your family. Going to the source is extremely important. And taking a step back and not immediately engaging or clicking yes, allow, accept, or agree to anything that pops up on your device is also very important.
Yeah, no, I agree. If there's definitely one piece of information that anybody should kind of follow, it's definitely to just go to the source. That will pretty much provide you clarity with everything you need to know. But Andrew, I saw you were going to chime in on that.
Yeah, Michael, first of all, thank you for introducing us to all these tools to help us protect ourselves in both Web 2 and Web 3. I want to segue that into a question that's been kind of on my mind since almost the beginning of the spaces, which is, given that all these tools exist for the internet age to protect ourselves, what do you think overall has been a better, uh, let's call it, framework for protecting individuals from hacks and scams in general in both Web 2 and Web 3? Would you say it's technology, or would you say it's regulation?
Well, I think it's a combination of three things. It's a combination of regulation, technology, and also knowledge. You can't expect all the security tools to do everything for you. You still have to rub two brain cells together and understand what you're approving, and also letting in or letting out, whatever the case is. You need regulation, so there's at least some level of there being a framework as to what is considered to be safe, secure, and what is considered to be malicious. And then you also need those tools to help you in that process. It might be the middle of the night and you're not paying attention, a tool steps in, right? It might be an inverse scenario where the tool, for whatever reason, doesn't work and you need to use your knowledge to understand what's about to occur. You can't let your guard down on the tool and you can't let your guard down on your own knowledge. You have to use a combination of both, right? So this is why education is so important. This is why having spaces like this and dropping these little tips are so important, because if we can have a security first default mindset, then we can navigate safely in all parts of our digital lifestyle and everything that we do in Web 2 and Web 3. We could understand and truly be comfortable holding the devices in our hands that we hold every day, and understanding what links that we are clicking on and whether it is legitimate or not, instead of sitting there sweating and shaking every time you're about to click something. It's a much better feeling when you understand your own digital lifestyle, right? Like, for example, a lot of people on the space right now, you probably are listening with a smartphone, an Android or an iPhone. You probably have pages and pages of apps that you've left sitting there running in the background, made by third parties, eating up battery life and space, and potentially having security holes in it, or potentially data mining you in the background. You don't know what the intentions of all these companies are. So do an audit on yourself. Remove things from your environment that you don't need running, that you don't need installed, that you don't need to have access to your information. Purge accounts that you don't need sitting out there on the internet on third-party servers that are waiting to be compromised. Think about all the accounts you've ever created since you made your first email address. When's the last time you've done an audit on your own accounts and your own data? When's the last time you've purged shit that's out there about you on the internet that doesn't need to be there? When's the last time you did an audit on your own devices and uninstalled things that you don't need that are there running in the background? Like, these are the things that, once you employ these default security variables first in everything that you're doing, it feels so much better navigating the space, and waking up in the morning knowing you got your device locked down and you got your seed phrase and private keys where they need to be so no one can get access to them, instead of just like having a million unread notifications, 100,000 unread emails, a million pop-ups, a million apps. So that's not how you, that's annoying. Of course you're going to hate and think everything's complicated and annoying. So, I've worked in IT my whole life. I've set up devices for tens of thousands of people. A lot of them, vary. Their age ranges varied. I would set these devices up in such a way for them so that they have these underlying principles in place and they can focus on enjoying the use of the device and not worrying about virus scans and updates and maintenance and slowdowns and pop-ups and notifications and garbage. No, enjoy using the device. We've configured it the right way, and you know the mentality to use moving forward. So I've pinned an article up to the top. It's called Best Security Practices. It's another article in the Wallet Guard Academy. It's how I would set up my own devices. I tell you what antivirus to use. I tell you what VPN to use. I tell you what ad blocker to use. I make sure that all the information about getting set up the right way is there in that one document. And your total investment, by the way, most of those tools are free and open source, but there's certain ones that I highly recommend paying for, like a real VPN, a privacy preserving VPN, like the one I mentioned called Molvad. And there's a big reason why I recommend using Molvad over NordVPN, ExpressVPN, and all these other VPNs that are constantly shilled by influencers, because a lot of those VPNs are not necessarily privacy preserving, meaning you've given them your email address, you've created an account on their system, you've given them your credit card info. They already have you identified. They already have all the traffic you're using through their VPN service identified and tied to you. Molvad, there are no usernames or passwords or email addresses, and you can pay in crypto. And it is a proven secure VPN. They've even been subpoenaed and audited and requested for customer data, and they couldn't hand over anything because they don't have it. That's why it's important to understand the products that you're using. What antivirus are you using, right? Because a VPN is not an antivirus. That's why they're two different things. Most VPNs are advertised as antiviruses. So I tell you what antivirus to use. The one I recommend is Malwarebytes, specifically the premium version, because it has active protection. It prevents against all the scams we see on the timeline where people were invited to beta test some game and it ended up being malware. You're probably sitting there thinking your Apple computer is perfectly secure because it's a Mac computer and it's ready to go. That's not true. You need an antivirus, no matter what device you are using. If you have a device connected to the internet, you need an additional layer of security. You also need something that's privacy preserving, so you're not browsing the internet with the same public IP address every single day, which is why a VPN is mentioned, right? I made it so that everything about the security structure and the tools, as far as like how to set up your device, is in that one document. And by the way, your total investment for Malwarebytes and the Melvad, which are the only two paid tools in that entire list, is about $40 a year. So you probably have more than $40 of crypto. You probably have more than $40 of sensitive information on your computer or your devices, photos, videos, your anything, right? Like, so it's definitely worth sitting down one day and setting up all your devices the right way and auditing them and making sure that moving forward, you know, you got a locked down, clean, optimized environment to work in. Sorry for the rant.
That was a beautiful rant, Michael. You don't have to apologize for anything. That was awesome. But I think I completely agree with you that spending the time and even the money to protect yourself, especially in Web3, where this is all about financial assets, like just putting in the little bit of extra effort to do that, especially if, you know, if crypto starts becoming a major part of your portfolio, just putting in that extra little effort is going to save you not just all of your money potentially, but a ton of worry in the meantime. I've had so many like stressful situations, even like when I'm dealing with a software wallet, and even if I've just got, you know, a little bit of money on there compared to like what I've got, say, in cold storage, which I and everybody would highly recommend if you have a lot of crypto, by the way, like just put it into cold storage and just keep it safe. It's the simplest thing you can do. But
But real quick, Andrew, just to comment on that, just a real quick thought, because a lot of people say use a hardware wallet, put it in cold storage. You also have to understand the concept of what that means. When you get your hardware wallet, you have to, you know, there's a reason why the seed phrase is provided to you on the hardware wallet itself. It's so that you keep it offline. The seed phrase is generated offline, which is why you should never keep a seed phrase, period. Even if it's through a software wallet, you should never keep that seed phrase digitally. Unfortunately, just yesterday, I was contacted by a friend that had a friend lose over $100,000 in crypto that they had sitting on their hardware wallet, because when they created the hardware wallet, after I did a security audit, we found out that they had saved that seed phrase in their Notes app, in their iCloud, that was compromised. So This is why it's so important that even though you're investing this time and energy and money, very minimal amount of money, but you're investing it into your security to really understand and grasp the concept of what you're doing. Sorry, I had to say that because it just happened. It was a scenario. And look, even when you do have a hardware device, it doesn't mean you could click anything and do anything. You still have to keep these principles in mind. Sorry about that, Andrew.
I'm so glad you shared that example, actually, and I'm going to share that example with some of my friends because I've onboarded some of my friends to Bitcoin recently, and I tried to get one of them to, first of all, write down the seed phrase of his software wallet that I had him downloaded. First of all, he failed to do that the first time, ended up breaking his phone, and then he lost his Bitcoin. Then he tries to do it again with the second phone, and he says, "Oh, okay, yeah, I recorded the words. I took a screenshot." I said, "No, delete the wallet again, delete the screenshot, go
You
back
know,
and
you know what's a
re-download."
you know what term analogy I've been using? I've been saying don't save your seed phrase on anything that has electricity running through it.
Yes, that's the exact thing
This way, if they claim like, oh, I did it this way this time, it's like you still did it with something that had electricity through it. Like you didn't think. Like
yeah, especially with the screenshot case, because it's like that screenshot probably just got uploaded to Google Cloud, and now anybody can go access your, I don't know, your cloud or Google Cloud and get access to your images, and then they can get all your crypto too. So like these are the things that it's so unfortunate because they're obvious to people who have been in the space for a while, but then we have to clue into the fact that even though the hackers are getting more sophisticated with time, all of the noobs are still just as green. And so they're just as easy to fool because there's just a new batch of new people coming in. They don't understand the basics.
yeah. No, that's 1,000% true. And it's crazy because we witness even outside of Web3, we witness people use computers their entire lives, right? Elementary school, middle school, high school, grad school, college, internship, business. You're using these devices every single day of your life, and you still don't understand the concept of managing your own passwords or using two-factor authentication or where a file goes when you hit save. Like, think about how scary that is. Like, it's literally creating like consumers out of the market, right? Like, you're not educating people on how it works. You're just showing them that this is how you use it, right? So this is why people that are like willing to go into the settings menu, that are willing to look at everything that's part of the operating system or the brand new device that they just got out of the box, right? The ones that have that predetermined mindset of like, if I'm buying a hardware wallet, I should buy it from the manufacturer because if I buy it from anywhere else, it could be compromised already. I don't know if that it's real, right? Or if I'm getting a brand new phone or a brand new laptop, I'm going to factory reset it out of the box, even though supposedly it's already been factory reset, right? These are the things that you have to train yourself into thinking about before you do anything tied to any device that you're about to use, right? So even when it comes to this cloud, the cloud, right? Like everyone always backs and saves everything up to the cloud. I don't. Why would I want to leave a single place of everything about my life ready for tapping into? Photos, videos, text messages, emails, notes app. I don't sync anything. I literally keep all of that stuff local to the device and I create a manual encrypted offline backup of it once every however long. And it feels a lot better doing that than thinking at any point this third party or this company could be looking at my shit or could get compromised. And that's what ends up happening. This is how people get wrecked. And this is why people are afraid anytime a little compromise happens because you don't know what's affected. You don't know what they got into. But if you minimize what they have access to, that's the ultimate win. Because even if something goes wrong, you know how to quickly address it.
Michael, thank you so much for your input so far. Um, Personally, I need to hop out really soon because I got some other stuff to get to. But before I hop out, I want to make a recommendation to you. You mentioned earlier that MetaMask is focused on number one, security, and number two, plugging, potentially integrating Bitcoin down the line. Uh, I highly recommend that you check out our own project, which is Boss, because that is exactly what we're working on right now. So we're trying to fix Bitcoin so that it can connect to other blockchains, and we're trying to use zk proofs in order to allow it to do that. And so we're able to construct trustless bridging between Bitcoin and other chains so that you don't have to rely on potentially compromised centralized bridging mechanisms in order to do so. And so that's a big opportunity for the entire crypto ecosystem, and especially such a wallet that is central to the ecosystem like MetaMask. So I'd highly recommend that maybe you get in touch with us after this call. But for now, I need to hop in. So thanks, guys.
No, definitely. Let's connect. Shoot me a DM, and we could get a call scheduled. We'd love to learn more about what y'all are doing. And thank you again for the questions and coming up to speak and inviting me as well, co-hosting. Let's go.
All right, peace out, guys.
Thank you so much, Michael, and thank you so much, Andrew. Michael, I have kind of like a different question for you. So, what are your thoughts on making sure you disconnect your wallet after you've like basically connected to like a DEX? And I ask this because in past communities that I've managed, I've actually had a couple people who said that they left their wallet like connected and they found themselves hacked after.
Yeah. So connecting your wallet to a DApp is an off-chain action. It is local to the device that you're doing it on. So just simply connecting and disconnecting a wallet from a website does absolutely nothing and is not the reason why they got compromised. Most likely why they got compromised is because they did something after connecting. There was a pop-up or they approved something, like they continued to the next step. Like, this is why it's also important to always understand the context of everything that occurred. A lot of times you're going to see on the timeline that people are like, I clicked this link and I got drained. Most likely, I mean, something else happened after you clicked that link. You can't just, unless it's a 0 day that's undiscovered and it's running in the wild and it's out of the, like, nothing's 100% at the end of the day, right? Like, there's still a chance, but there's always a reason as to what occurred. And almost always it is preventable. It was preventable. I get contacted when people get compromised to help figure out what happened. And every single time it was a preventable situation, whether it was preventable by having an antivirus, whether it was preventable by understanding what you were about to interact with, like whether it was preventable by, just reading that it said it was malicious and you still hit continue anyway, because there are audit logs to check this. There are ways to audit these things. Everything is logged in a file somewhere. So it's important to understand the context of what occurs, because a lot of these claims where, I did this and everything is gone, there was something else involved. And I've confirmed that every time by, doing these audits and helping people understand what occurred.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I also figured that, there must have been a vulnerability that they exposed themselves to prior or after, they had connected and maybe they left their wallet out. So that's kind of the general like understanding that I had as well. And I guess we kind of obviously touched up on this a little bit, but I'd like more of your thoughts on this. So
Just real quick, you were
yeah.
focusing on the Bitcoin ecosystem with that question, correct?
Um I was just focusing on the entire crypto ecosystem.
Okay, so when it comes down to, because I thought you were being Bitcoin centric, but um, when it comes down to disconnecting and connecting your wallet, so even more so on EVM networks, right? Ethereum and Polygon and stuff like that is on-chain approvals. So connecting and disconnecting your wallet is completely different than revoking an on-chain approval. Connecting and disconnecting your wallet is an off-chain action. I'm repeating myself because this is important stuff to understand. So you know what you guys are doing, right? So that's an off-chain action. But approving and revoking approving and revoking approvals are on-chain actions. That's why they require a gas fee. So when you see somebody that is commenting on a post where someone got scammed and they're saying, disconnect your wallet, that's going to do nothing to help you. What you want to do is check to see if there's still an open approval on the assets that are being compromised, so you could revoke those approvals. I'm going to give you an example of an on-chain approval. So let's pretend that you have a NFT collection and you listed one of the items from that collection for sale, and you had to give a marketplace approval to list that item for you, right? That's how OpenSea and Blur and Magic Eden, you give them approvals to list your items. So let's pretend you don't revoke that approval. You opened the approval, but you never revoked it. So the collection that you had listed that asset from, you might have other assets in the collection that you're not planning on selling. But the approval for the collection as a whole has already been approved, right? So let's say there's a wallet drainer that is taking advantage of your open approval on that marketplace. What it has the ability to do is to list all the assets that you didn't sell within that collection that you were planning on keeping in a private sale on that marketplace for 0 Ethereum directly to the attacker's wallet. That's how a lot of wallet drainers execute, and everything gets like ripped out of the wallet, right? A lot of people don't realize this. So if you had revoked that approval, then even if that wallet drainer was attempting to interface with it, it would still require an approval prior to, and you'd probably figure out what's going on. So this is why for EVM and any other networks, Bitcoin doesn't have, approvals in the same nature. There's no smart contracts in that nature. So it's important to check your on-chain approvals. I recommend using Revoke Cash. You can also check your token approvals in MetaMask Portfolio, the dashboard, as well as WalletGuard's dashboard. There's a lot of different ways to check your on-chain approvals, but make sure you're using obviously a real service like Revoke Cash, for example. And you can see what approvals you might still have open on assets that you don't plan on selling or getting rid of. Just wanted to break that down. I think that's an important metric regarding the original question you had. Sorry about that.
No, please stop apologizing. Your tangents are amazing and very helpful, so it's much, much appreciated. Yeah, no, that's definitely good advice. And I guess like if you could just kind of like simplify it a little bit more for like our listeners, on what it means to like revoke, like that would be much appreciated because we have like a lot of basically newcomers that are listening right now. So it would just be very beneficial if you could just kind of like simplify that explanation.
Yeah, revoking is like terminating, right? Like essentially you're opening the door for something to happen, and then revoking is closing that door. Because if you don't revoke it, you left that door open. That's like the most layman terminology I could provide, right? So like let's pretend you're selling 5 TVs and someone comes to your house to buy 1 TV, and you open the door for them and they come and they take 1 TV, but you don't close the door on the fact that you're selling TVs. And you left the door open so anyone can walk into your house. You want to close that door, aka you want to revoke that approval that you gave for the asset you wanted to interact with. When you're on Uniswap and you want to swap one token to another token, you have to give an approval to swap that token to Uniswap. So if you don't plan on selling that token after the fact, you should revoke that on-chain approval you gave to Uniswap, because a malicious contract could use it to swap to their own token or whatever they execute on a wallet drainer, right? So this is why it's important to perform revoking of your open approvals. And again, this is something that is not centric to Bitcoin itself, but EVM, when it comes down to how interfacing with those assets works on chain.
So you would say that you should probably be like revoking approvals like pretty much like daily.
Well, you don't want to go crazy, right? Like there's a matter of like convenience over security and security over convenience. You just want to be cognizant. If you are already practicing good security, hygiene, and for example, you've read the document I put up about best security practices, and you have your device locked down and you're using the right Web 2 security tools as well as the right Web 3 security tools. So, and I mean by this, let's say you're using WalletGuard or Pocket Universe, right? Those are not Web 2 security tools, they're Web 3 security tools. They block wallet drainers, they're not antiviruses. But when it comes to your Web 2 security to prevent against malware and Trojans and these threats that we were talking about before that affect your Web 3 assets at some point, you want to use an actual antivirus like Malwarebytes. And Malwarebytes is not a Web 3 security tool. It's not going to stop wallet drainers. So, if you're following those practices, and you're understanding and cognizant of your own security as you're browsing Web3 and whatever the case is, and you got your sites bookmarked and the official links and stuff like that, you don't need to go crazy with like the approvals you're opening and closing. For example, if you're swapping 2 tokens every single day on Uniswap, it would be a waste of gas and money for you to constantly open and close the approval. Same thing with if you're listing, buying and selling from certain collections on marketplaces. It's and you're doing that constantly, or you're revolving assets or whatever the case is. You don't want to constantly have to open and close that approval and waste gas and money, time, right? So that's pretty much the mentality behind it. just don't go crazy. Convenience over security in some scenarios is more logical as an end result than completely obliterating your own time and energy.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's valid. I guess, yeah, just kind of incorporating that as like a metric in like your security measures. Is, yeah, that would definitely be beneficial for sure. And I wanted to talk to you about something earlier too, which was we kind of like touch base on it, but what are your thoughts on connecting to public Wi-Fi with your mobile phone? And I asked this because, and this is very obvious, but in past communities that I've managed, a lot of community members found themselves hacked after connecting to public Wi-Fi without a VPN. So, do you have any like thoughts on that?
Yeah. So here's the thing: if you're connecting to public Wi-Fi, if you're connecting to any Wi-Fi, if you're connecting to the internet, you want to be using a VPN regardless. Now, a VPN is not the end all security solution because, again, it's not an antivirus like we were talking about. It doesn't prevent malware. And it also might be something security centric related to the network itself, not necessarily the traffic that you're sending to and from your device, which is the point of a VPN, encrypting that traffic, right? So let's pretend you connect to a malicious Wi Fi network, or your device, your smartphone auto connects to a network that is pretending to be a real network you've connected to in the past. This is also a problem that people don't think about. You have a list of networks in your Wi Fi settings that you've connected to in the past, and they're kept there as known or remembered networks. Same thing with your laptop. If you've connected to public Wi Fi in the past on your smartphone or on your any device, let's say it's public hotel Wi-Fi, it's Panera Bread, Starbucks Wi-Fi, it's the library, it's whatever. It's a public Wi-Fi network, cable Wi-Fi network. That's through your subscription with your internet service, whatever the case is. Those all have very common names, and a lot of people that are malicious focus on spoofing the name of the Wi-Fi network so that your device auto connects and starts sending and receiving traffic through their Wi-Fi network. So like you could be sitting on a train and you might have connected to Starbucks Wi-Fi in the past, and someone has a packet sniffer and they've created their own Wi-Fi network called Starbucks Wi-Fi. Your device will auto connect to it. Now you've exposed you've exposed the concept of like your own device security because you didn't think about doing that audit, right? We were talking about auditing your own installed applications. Same thing with auditing your own installed browser extensions. You don't know what's running in the background in your browser. You might have installed an extension a long time ago and forgot about it, and it turned into malware, right? Like that's what's happened in the past. But same thing with auditing your own remembered networks or and anything that has like a recent list, right? Like you want to be able to like make sure you're only connecting to private networks and any networks you choose to remember on your device so that you're not auto connecting to things. But when back to the original question, when it comes to connecting to public Wi-Fi or any Wi-Fi, please, when you're using the internet, use a VPN service. And number two, there are ways to connect to a malicious Wi-Fi network, especially if it's public Wi-Fi, because obviously a bad actor is going to want you to connect to a public Wi-Fi network. You're not going to know the password to a private network. So you're going to be desperate looking for internet. You're going to connect to their public Wi-Fi network, and they might redirect you to a page that looks like a page you're looking for. For example, you're connected to their Wi-Fi and they're routing the traffic. You might use a website in Safari, like Facebook, or you might use a website in Chrome or whatever, like Facebook, or go to your bank's website, and they might redirect you to a page that looks exactly like Facebook or your bank, and you type in your login info and you compromise your own credentials, right? Like so there are reasons why you don't just want to connect to any Wi-Fi network, and there are also reasons why you want to be cognizant of your recently connected to or managed network list, so you don't have a bunch of networks that you've connected to in the past, especially that are public, right? Because if there's a password, you don't know it, that are public that you might auto connect to because it's being spoofed by a malicious vector in that scenario.
That's absolutely insane and absolutely mind blowing. That that is happening. But actually, so I grew up playing old school RuneScape, and we have a lot of scams in that space. Um, and one of the scams that would happen a lot that we would see is on YouTube. There would be these like fake like streamers, and they would essentially be like just like pretending that they're like they're pretending to be like another streamer, right? Like a top streamer in like the old school RuneScape game. And so what they would do then is they would share a link in the description to what seems like it's the actual like official old school RuneScape website. You'd go there, you'd sign in, and from there they basically just get access to your account. So that kind of just reminds me of that kind of same situation.
I
But
feel
yeah,
like anyone that's from the RuneScape, or from like over a decade or a half ago from that sort of scene or MMORPGs and stuff like that are so familiar with the tactics that those are the ones that like kind of have a lot of this default security outlier.
oh
So it's just
yeah.
funny to think
Yeah,
like
no,
RuneScape.
you literally can't fall for anything. Like after you've played OSRS and I mean, you've at least been scammed once in that game. But yeah, once you've experienced that, it's like it's GG. Like you're never gonna get
I'm
scammed
gonna
again.
duplicate your asset for you.
Exactly, yeah. Or I'm gonna trim your armor for free. But yeah, no, I appreciate you clarifying that. And honestly, you're dropping such good information here. Like I honestly just wish there was more people in the space because I've literally learned so many things from you that I couldn't have possibly even like fathomed. So like truly appreciate you being here and dropping all this information for everybody. Hopefully everybody is learning. Something that like I feel like is really common in this space is there's a lot of like embarrassment, shame around like being hacked and scammed. And I feel like as a result of that, like not a lot of people speak up, not a lot of people share that information. It's kind of like repressed. So hopefully, anybody here that's kind of like experienced that, I hope this is giving you some kind of like, just like empowerment. I hope that, it's equipping you with the right tools and information you need to like, kind of like flourish in this space.
Yeah,
Um,
and just really quickly to say, like, don't be afraid to be secure. Don't give excuses to yourself to not be secure. I can't tell you how many times that I've recommended and had spaces like this, and even people have interacted with my posts and the content that we drop, and they say they're going to do it, and then they don't end up doing it. They end up getting wrecked, and then they're hitting me up, and I'm going to help them no matter what. But it's not a good feeling. Like, don't be afraid to understand the device and what you're navigating. And just a quick example, because I do have to run. It's been an amazing space. I did block this out for 30 minutes. I pushed another meeting 30 minutes ahead because it's just been awesome, just like dropping all this content for you guys. And if you haven't done so already, please, it's recorded. Share the space. Like, have people listen to this. They don't even have to be Web3 people. This is good knowledge and information for people in Web2, for your parents, for your grandparents. It's all good content. So yeah, it's like don't give an excuse to not be secure. Like, if I'm telling you that there's a variable of being sim swapped, like let's say your Twitter account and having a phone number attached to it, you should just remove it because there's no reason for it to be there, right? Like, don't tell me, oh, it's a number I don't use. So instead of removing it, it's a number you don't use, meaning I can call any phone company, register it, and get into your stuff because that information, that number's already leaked on the dark web. Like, you just like don't tell yourself like you're not going to do. Just understand why I'm telling you to do it, because the goal is to be secure, right? Like, the last thing you want to deal with is someone else, you're like your friend, dealing with a scenario because you didn't tell them that easy win, that easy alpha. I'm not telling people to go out and buy thousands of dollars of security equipment and firewalls. I'm literally giving you guys easy wins, setting changes, things that you could do very quickly that are all outlined in the articles I've dropped above. So even another easy win is, especially with people that, of older generations, they don't have a passcode or a lock screen on their smartphone. And, when you ask them about it, they say, oh, there's nothing important on there, and they laugh. But then if I ask them, let me see your phone, I just want to look through your text messages and your notes and your emails. I want to open your banking app, which is already auto signed into, and get into your account. Think about if you lost this phone or left it somewhere or it was stolen from you. And then they look back and they say, okay, you're right, let's put a lock screen on it. But your first impression was there's nothing important on there, and you laugh it off. Don't laugh it off. Understand why these things are important. Thank you guys so much for your time. Really appreciate you. Let's fucking go. Let's do this again in the future, and we'll look out for that DM so we could continue talking about Bitcoin OS, BOS. Let's go.
Michael, you're amazing. Thank you so, so, so much for everything. And I know you were literally supposed to be here for 30 minutes and you went way past your window. So it's much appreciated. I also will be in your DMs with another separate opportunity. Bitcoin OS, like we're hosting a series of like webinars. and one of them is actually going to be about scams, hacks, and like fraud, and just like how to protect yourself. And we would love to have you on as a guest speaker. But that's definitely something that we can discuss later on. But again, thank you so much. Really appreciate
Thanks
having
again,
you here.
everybody. Of course, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you so much. And guys, all right, let's start bringing some people up. I know that a lot of you had like some information that you wanted to contribute. Feel free to just chime in and share some of your experiences, things that you've kind of come across. Because obviously the scammers in the space have, like I said earlier, have gotten extremely creative. And they're constantly figuring out new ways to scam, new ways to hack. So let's talk about your experiences and hopefully share, yeah, just share that with the community. So, Derek, I think you wanted to chime in about your experience with Zoom, I believe, correct?
Yeah, Alien, thank you. So James, everybody on the space, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
All right, so I just want to like put this in for those in Web3 and especially for those seeking jobs in the Web3 space. Yeah, I've actually been a very great target for this scam guys. Yeah, these hackers and scammers. So most times there are ways they do it to get into you, especially if you're actually seeking jobs out here. They get into your DMs. Yeah, they come out with a proposal for you to like you feel very happy if you're someone that needs a job badly to make money out of it here. So they come at you with long text, well edited text, and you fall for it. So at the end, I think Michael spoke about it to an extent here. They would include a Zoom link there for you to click on. Okay, now before all that, I would share if I'm permitted, I'll share a tweet I made concerning those scams and how they operate. They operate differently, but there's a way they do it. They ask you right questions, ask how you're going to help them manage the company and all that. So they ask you for personal details, and if you're not watching, you fall for it. Like they ask you for your time zone, your phone number, where you're spacing, where you're texting from, and all that. So if you drop those details to them, your wallets are going to go in an instant. You won't even realize what happened until you get liquidated. Everything you have will go in that instant. So let me check. I think am I allowed to share it to the Jumbotron? Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. You definitely share it in the Jumbotron. That's fine.
Okay. So hold on, please. Let me get this.
No worries.
So
But
they'll come out as professionals. If you're not quick, they would actually tag big projects like BitGet. Yeah, a BitGet guy once DM'd me, and I almost fell for it. But I was lucky enough to watch out for it. If not, I would have lost everything, including my Twitter account. So hold on, please. Let me try to get it's.
yeah, you're fine. Like just to kind of expand on what you're saying too, it's like I know that a lot of people here, a lot of people, once you get into Web3, once you get into crypto, you kind of want to go full-time crypto, right? And that's kind of like a narrative that these scammers run with. So what they'll go and do is they'll be in your DMs and be like, "Hey, like we're looking for a community manager, we're looking for a moderator." They like tag some kind of like legitimate project, and then from there they'll send you a Calendly link. They'll be like, "Hey, like we want to set up an interview." You'll actually go to this interview, and there's quite a few people there. There's like genuinely quite a few people there. It's kind of like a scam center, right? And then from there, it's kind of like what Michael said, where they'll ask to like get control of your screen, and then if you give them access to that, they'll immediately go to your terminal, they'll put in some kind of code, and it'll run exactly what they need to, and from there it's like say goodbye to your assets. So it's again just very sad to hear and to know that they're basically coming after people who are very vulnerable. But that's the reality of everything, right? So it's very important we do everything on our end to just stay as vigilant as we possibly can be. But Derek, continue. You were talking about the Zoom links.
Yeah, I just shared one to the Jumbotron. I don't think I tweeted about. I'm trying to get the particular stuff he hacks because about five of them had the same write up. They come at you with very sweet deals, and if you're not watching, you just get hacked through that. I've had a lot of friends that go hacked through that, do that method because the Zoom scam, it's not really It's not gotten popular that much amongst us, and people that are not watching or have never heard about it, they will definitely get scammed, young or old, well experienced or not. If you're not looking, you definitely get scammed. Yeah, I almost got scammed because it seemed really true. And at that point, I was looking forward to partner with Big Get because Big Get, it's actually a big organization, an exchange. So I was like, okay, hi, okay, this is it. He asked where I'm from and what's my time zone. Yeah, I was like, why would I give that all that to you? I do not know you from anywhere. Why would you ask me for that? So what they ask you for your time zone and all that for is to get more information from you, and again to process how to send the Zoom links to you. Do you understand, Alien? They have to get your country to know what kind of link they will send to you so you can work in your country. So after then, they tell you need about 15 to 10, they'll get about 15 to 10 minutes to get back to you. So in that period, they process the link and send it to you. So when you click on it, your phone gets hacked. You might not even notice. So after a while, when you start getting notification from your wallet exchange, your apps, that you've gotten this amount removed from your account and all that. So in that extent, or in that instance, you get everything lost from it. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I hope you grab Alien and everybody on the space grabs that.
Yeah, no,
Okay, I think.
that definitely makes sense. Yeah, they basically just try to get as much information as they can so that they can kind of like coordinate their scam to be as like effective as possible, right? So, yeah, that's definitely it's yeah, again, it's just kind of crazy to see how elaborate these scams have gotten. And you know, what I was talking to you guys about earlier, when I was like job hunting, I had gotten, I was like applying to jobs on LinkedIn, and I applied to this one job, and they actually got back to me within a week, and I was like, oh, this is great. They're like, they want to set up an interview, but initially they told me, hey, like first you have to like go on this Google form. And you have to like answer some interview questions. And I was like, all right, so I'm going to go do this. So here I am, like an idiot, spending like a lot of time filling out so many questions, right? They're trying to make it seem like it's like the most legit, like it's like the most legit thing. Obviously, I've never experienced a process like this where I've had to like go on a Google form and answer questions, but I was like, okay, we're evolving. Like this might be something different. Let's give it a shot. And then I finally get to the end of the Google form, and now they're asking me to download a VPN because apparently the conversation that we're going to be having needs to be like encrypted. And so from there, obviously, that was like an immediate red flag. I was like, yeah, there's no way. I did what I could to like, honestly, I did some like research. I was trying to figure out like who owns this domain because they have like a legitimate website too. Like you go on the website and it's literally like a very legitimate website with like links to different like social media profiles that they've created. So they really like get very elaborate with these scams, right? Like they create this whole like system around it. So so of course I tried to like go dive in deep, and I was trying to see what I could do to like report this domain or find out who this person was, but unfortunately I was I was unsuccessful. But yeah, so I guess Soul Geek, you had come up as a speaker. I don't know if you want to chime in a little bit
Alien,
about your experience.
Alien,
Yes, Derek.
Alien, can I speak? Okay, now there's something else to look out for. People actually get blinded about the fact that people have verified text next to their names, and you might actually feel like these people won't be fake. They're not going to be scams because of the number of followers they have and all that. Just so you know, followers can be bought, blue ticks can be gotten, so don't get fooled. And again, you have to go through whoever messages you on your account for a deal. You go through their posts, try to get if they're actually partners with the exchange they're texting you about for the deal. So you don't just get blinded. Them retweeting certain posts from the exchange doesn't, or the app, the partnerships, retweeting those stuff doesn't mean they're actually working with them. So don't get fooled because a lot of people don't really watch out for stuff like this, and that's why they get scammed. And there's no how you can stress it long enough for them. People will still get scammed. But if you're on the space, I hope you do not get scammed because you would actually feel pained and to be a lot for you to handle. Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Michael said. Just go to the source, always go to the source just to like verify and make sure that, the person that's reaching out to you is actually the person that's reaching out to you, or the information that's being sent to you via email is actually like legitimate, right? Like once you actually get to the source, you'll be able to determine whether or not it's legitimate. And I think that's literally the number one thing to follow here. And also, I mean, another thing to follow, if it's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's like these like scammers are truly trying to target people who honestly have community moderator or community manager in their like profile like description, right? Like a lot of the times like they'll try to come to you and they'll try to recruit you. So it's definitely, important to just kind of go to the source and always double check. Just don't click on anything, honest to God, like just don't click on links. Just double check everything, be cautious, stay vigilant. And obviously, Michael shared just like honestly some really good alpha. So if you guys are coming in here just now, I would definitely recommend, re-listening to the space. I've personally learned so much. I've learned so much. Like the fact that, you could literally like automatically connect to a fraudulent like Wi-Fi network, and then they send you a link that, let's say you're trying to connect to your bank, right? And then they'll send you a link that literally looks exactly like your bank, and then you sign in and you give away all your information. It's like it's these scams are so elaborate, and it's just so sad to see people in my circle get scammed. It's always such a tragedy because it's like you've worked so hard in so many ways, not even just like working hard for your money, but also working so hard for like your knowledge, right? That helped you acquire that money, like taking time to learn fundamental analysis, technical analysis. Like these types of things are not easy. So it's like and unfortunately, these conversations are not sexy, right? These conversations are not sexy, so people don't really want to have them. They're not, there's just not enough conversations taking place about like scams and hacks and stuff like that. So we need more of these. And it's always nice to hear from the community too about like your experiences and everything. So um, yeah, would love to hear from you guys. If you would like to speak, please send a request. I'd love to bring you up. Feel free to share your experience. Feel free to share some advice. Feel free to share some tips. We would love to hear from you. But Soul Geek, I know you came on as a speaker, so if you have anything to contribute, we'd love to hear from you. Earth to Soul Geek, are you there, my friend?
If it's not, I can jump in. I think it's just
Please
like
do. Yes,
overall,
please do.
overall been insane. Honestly, like I even texted you in the DMs. I'm like, thank you so much for me just being here and listening. Because I think being in a space in 2019, 2020-ish, I think a lot has changed, but in a way where I feel like scams are being a lot more sophisticated. So I think you and us being aware that again, if something is too good to be true, likely it's fake. And always, 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 always verify. I think as the biggest thing that comes down to Web3 in general, regardless of which blockchain you're interacting with, like you said, like connecting a wallet, like that's the least you want to do. Like always verify, always follow through with your action, and just don't listen to your emotional intentions immediately. Because I think when we see something that, oh my God, like a new token has dropped, immediately let's send one soul to it. Like, for example, with all the token drops that has happened over the weekend, like you always want to verify if that contract is good. Always want to make sure that is this the right one? Because people are getting smart. Sadly, when money is involved, people are always there's always going to be bad players. And I think getting that education, just like Michael shared, there's so much resources out there. And again, I think like personally, like yeah, I've been scammed. I've been like did some stupid things that could have been prevented, but fortunately, I did not lose much with it. And again, it's a valuable lesson for me that, oh, okay, I should have never done this, or I'm not never gonna do this again. But if you can essentially front run that scamming, that you always know what's happening, always verifying the information and making sure that things are legit. I think the better the space itself is gonna be. Because sadly, scammers are gonna keep doing this when there's an opportunity for them to make money. So I think just like in Web2, if we're not gonna engage, interact with them, they're gonna go away slowly.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. I mean, the more knowledge that we share within the community, the more that everybody equips themselves with the right tools, right, to be as secure as possible, as private as possible. That has like a domino effect, and then you kind of share that with your friends, and they share that with their friends, and so there's like less opportunity then for them to actually be able to like create income and create like a lifestyle out of scamming people. So I definitely agree with you there. But I just want to say a quick shout out to Jen, Virginia. It's so good to see you here, my friend. So lovely to have you. Always just such a pleasure. And I want to welcome Ridwan as well to the speaker stage. Just quick shout out to everybody here too: Zenith, Jason, Adele, the Traveler, Comtrunity. It's so nice to see everybody here. Just once again, big shout out to you all, because once again, these conversations are not sexy, right? These conversations are not sexy, but hey, we're here and we are doing everything that we can to empower ourselves with knowledge, and then hopefully we can share that with our community as well, with our friends as well. um, but Ridwan, did you want to speak?
Yes, I would like to share my experience as well.
Yeah, would love to hear
GMG and
that.
everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, my friend, go ahead.
Okay, all right. I actually have to thank you guys for this wonderful space, because honestly, I think this is the best space that I've been on for a very long time. I even had to jot down some things. So, and this is a topic that really needs to be taken seriously. So, my experience was, I think, sometimes last week, someone DM'd me on X. So, he came in a very friendly way, asked about my journey in the Web3 space, and I told him the community that I have been participating. So from there, he introduced me to his own project, saying they are they are a South Korean Web3 company. So they are trying to come into the English community. So they need people who can be their ambassador and stuff like that. So I was just following up, and actually it was sounding interesting to me because I saw it as an opportunity. So along the line, he told me, he said, "Will I be available for a meeting with his team?" And I said,
Sorry,
"Okay,
you're cutting out, my friend.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
What
could
about now?
you?
Can you hear me now?"
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay. I said, so he told me that he asked if I'll be available for an online meeting with his team, that he will recommend I have a meeting with them, and if everything goes well, we can kick off from there. So I said, okay. I was actually expecting something like maybe probably the meeting will be fixed for another day or so, but it was so quick. He said in the
You're
next
cutting
4
out again,
hours.
my friend.
Wow, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so it's when he said I should have a meeting with the team, um, I was actually expecting something like maybe it will be another day or maybe another week, but it was so quick. He said in the next 4 hours. So that was the first red flag that I saw, but it wasn't really obvious for me because I was like, well, maybe they needed something fast. So the next thing, I told him I would be available. Then after 4 hours, he sent me a link, but this time he didn't use a Zoom. They didn't use a Zoom platform or any other known platform. He said the platform they are using is because of their team members who can't speak English, so that the platform will help translate for those that are non-English speakers. So okay, I said all right. So he sent me the link with the invitation code for the
My
meeting.
friend, sorry, I don't
And
mean to stop you mid conversation, but your microphone is it's very difficult to
oh,
understand what you're saying. Do you want to jump out and come back in?
okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Sorry about that. Sorry
All
about
right.
that.
All right.
But yeah, no. So I did want to talk about something before I bring up Jin real quick. One of my friends, he was basically he applied to a job and they got back to him, and it was a gaming job, it was a gaming position. He was going to be like a community manager or head of community for like this new like gaming project, right? And it wasn't, I don't believe it wasn't web3 based, it wasn't crypto based. So what actually happened was they're like, okay, so we actually launched our game on Steam, guys. They literally had the game on Steam. Like if you guys are gamers, like you'll know Steam is a very like it's just a very well-known app, you know, like you wouldn't think for one second that there would be any game over there that's kind of like that's a scam, right? Well, there was. So what happened was he went on Steam and he downloaded the game, and from there they basically got access to all his to all his credentials. They hacked his Telegram account. I mean, it was, yeah, it was an absolute nightmare. It was obviously more than what I'm explaining now, but like I said, it's like these scams are getting so elaborate, and the fact that he went on Steam and downloaded a Steam game, you would assume that Steam kind of like already did, you know, already kind of like audited the game, right? I guess not. They must have maybe they had like the original game, like the legitimate game, and then maybe they swapped it out with like the fake game after the auditing process and after they were approved. Who knows? But again, just be careful with Steam as well, I guess. Like that's another scam that's kind of like running rampant in the space right now. But Jin, if you wanted to touch up on anything, it's great to see you again, my friend. Would love to hear your 2 cents.
Yeah, first of all, good evening from Malta, but Ridwan is here. Maybe I would like to hear him because he was interrupted through his network. Is okay? And then I
Yep.
have two little stories exactly fits here into this topic.
Hello. Okay.
Yes, of course. That sounds great. Ridwan, glad to have you
Yeah.
back, my friend. We'd love to hear more
All
about your
right. Thank
story.
you. Okay. So when he contacted me about the okay, he sent me the link for the meeting that I should join, and it was an unknown platform. So he said the reason why they are using the platform is because of the non-English speakers. So the platform can help translate for them. So he sent me the link. I tried downloading the app on my phone, but it wasn't working. So he said something like, okay, I think it works only on laptop. That was another red flag for me. So one why I'm actually sharing this is because I always believe I'm also security cautious. So when he sent the link, I went to Google and I was like, is this website secured? So I went to this site, Scam Advisor. On Scam Advisor, it showed that the site was is a secure site, like it's not scam. But the red flag that I saw on there too is that the application was just the domain for the application was set up just December. So that was another thing that I noticed. So while I was still playing around with it on my laptop to actually see what was going on. So I got a notification on my laptop that of a Trojan horse. So immediately I knew something was wrong. So I was now trying to play along just to see how he's still going to react. Then I started noticing this hesitancy in him. Like he just wants me to get it done, telling me that the team is still waiting. So I was not like, it's not possible for a whole team to be waiting for me just because I'm not even yet the team. So that was how it went. It went. He was just still trying to convince me. I told him to come back after 1 hour. That I would try to contact the customer support for the app. He was still just telling me. So while I was doing that, I went to the source, just like Michael suggested. So it was from there that I confirmed that he's not even part of the team. Now, another thing that he now did was on his profile, he has this OpenSea profile that he had set up to a long time ago. That was like 2 years with some NFT collections. So those are some kind of subtle proof that they try to put in their work to just to convince people. So I'm sharing this so in case anyone can be a victim, so you can always know what to watch out for. And if you see that someone is trying to make you do something like with hesitancy, like you just have to do it, then they should know that there's something actually wrong with this.
Thank you so much, Ridwan. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, guys, it's obviously like from what he's saying, like for me too, it's like if I can tell somebody's like clearly a scammer, like I'm not going to entertain that. You know what I mean? Like your time is so valuable, and there's really like if something is way too good to be true, it probably is, and there's really like no reason for you to be like, entertaining any of their bullshit, right? But first we'll go to Virginia, and then Adele, I will take you next. So Virginia, we would love to hear you speak, my friend.
All right. Good evening from Malta. Hello, Alien. I'm so happy. It's my first time in your live space. And just to inform you a bit, it's episode 2, and I hope there will be episode 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it like that, or is it? When was your first one? I'm so excited that you have an episode here. Wow.
Yes, yes, yes. Our first one was actually last Tuesday. So we're going to try to host these like pretty much every Tuesday around the same time. Last week, we pretty much just talked about how to kind of like join like the Bitcoin revolution. We just talked a little bit about just kind of Bitcoin in general, like where we're headed in, 2025, Bitcoin outlook. We talked a little bit about Bitcoin DeFi, talked a little bit about Bitcoin OS. So the whole point of these this series is basically self empowerment through knowledge and education. So that's kind of the whole narrative that we're going to be pushing with these spaces moving forward. So would love to have you on next week or the following week. Honestly, every single week, your presence is always so appreciated. So so happy to see you here.
Yeah, as you said when you were sending me, I said, "Wow!" Because I empowerment. You said it. I'm here. I think I'm here to empower people. I'm on a mission. For some people who not know me, first of all, I'm Virginia Schmidt. People call me Jin. I live in Malta, but I was born in Germany. So I'm a film producer. My life was in the media. So yeah, but my way went rapidly into Web3 for many, many reasons. It's the biggest shift happening now with technology. And I saw myself as an independent filmmaker. So how can I position now? How can I fund? Is cryptocurrency the way to fund now films? I want to be ahead the curve. I'm very curious, and technology and AI is a big thing in our industry now, in the film industry, that if you have a talent and a craft, you have to really check if AI is not just taking over, and what are you doing then, right? Can I compete with $29 AI and things like that? You have to ask your questions. So I asked a lot of questions to myself. I made a decision. I'm an ambassador and, of course, a proud member of the DAO, Improfy, and the decentralized world captured me. I know that is now the way to go. With it comes, of course, yes, challenges, not only in the communities to build them, education. We need a lot of empowerment, and we need to switch off the Web 2 button. That's what I always say. Let me come a bit to the topic. I don't know what his name was from MetaMask. I loved everything. I only heard him a bit at the back, but I also like what Norbert said. Hi Norbert, by the way, and let me quickly said. Jim, Soul Geek, of course. Derek, Adil, Ridwan, Engineer for Christ. Sorry, Engineer for Christ. Cryptalk Night. Hello to everyone. I see Famo. Who else? Jason is here. Great to have you here. Your right time with the right people, and you get the right information. That is basically what you always have to be, where you have to be, because the world is so noisy, but mass adoption is happening. What I see is now in my life in Web3, especially with the DAO members. I ask the DAO members always, why are you now here? Why are you joining a decentralized autonomous organization? First of all, I have a German leader. She's female. She's a very, ambitious crypto enthusiast. And she was hacked from Canva. I think everyone knows the Canva platform where you design, and she designed. And she is there since 8 years. She's a client. And I think 4 years ago, the datas were hacked from Canva. included hers. That is basically not the problem, because I think hacks happens every day into these servers. Doesn't matter if it's bank servers. I mean, we are talking here about a centralized data-based internet. That is the vulnerable thing of Web 2. But she got a call from the biggest institution of police force of Germany. And they requested data. Are you this person? Is this your birth? Is this? And she said, wait a minute. She saw the number of the telephone and she said, wait a minute, I'm not giving out my data. I mean, you shouldn't do that, right? And they said, okay, call us back. She called them back, and then they went into, again, is this her, she? Yes. And they said she has 200 criminal cases on her name going on in Europe. And she went like, what? Yeah, from money laundering, everything was included in these 200 cases. And they found out that her data were in the darknet, and people out of the darknet took her data, made around 20 websites with her name, with her picture, with her telephone number, with her credit card, everything. She was naked. The big problem is that she needs to bring the evidence. She needed to say, I am not the one. Do you know what I mean? First of all, she got naked. Her data were gone. Criminal cases were open, and she needed to go with a lawyer into these single cases and said, this is not me. And she needed to prove, she needed to go to Google, she needed everywhere, credit card. And it's not so easy, because try to get someone in Google to, get data, get a document to prove that it was not her. So she was naked over 2 years. She was afraid people were knocking on her door because her address was on the website. So I think that is basically a point of data protection. That's why I love the DAO. That's why I love the decentralized world, because this is the first thing we can protect now. This is one thing. The other thing is with wallets. I have good people around me. I work with, every project has a different wallet, not to put everything in one wallet. Some hard wallets or cold wallets, I don't know how you call them. In Germany, we say hard wallet. So put some, assets there. I think it starts with you, because when we want a decentralized world, when we want to have direct payment, when as no third party between us, it starts now with like you do it, Alien, sharing information, sharing mistakes, sharing, that's what you said, embarrassing stories. Maybe I got hacked, I got wallet drained, I got that, and I did this wrong. I clicked on this link, although I knew, we need to have these conversations, because now in Web3, there is no hotline anymore. If you have a bank problem, I go to the bank and call the bank and say, excuse me, I forgot my password, or I forgot that, or here's a link. And the banks insures the money also sometimes. And so I think it comes with community work. I love networking in that kind, because it's driven by like dividing. So someone is good in community building, someone is good in security, someone is good in education, that we come together with all our talents and make sure that the network has, for every part of this Web3 journey, someone who is an expert. I can't be an expert in security, but I have people who are, so that is a bit, if we want freedom, and the freedom comes with it, because now we have the access to have assets, to have money. It comes the responsibility, and as more responsibility we take, and this is my formula, we will head off to freedom. And I think the world will always have a bad side, it's where good is bad. That's human nature. So with the involvement of Web3, there will also be new possibilities how they drain our wallet. That's technology, it's software. It's just now the sharing, fast sharing, going into hubs, sharing with community. And the other is my friend, she got a lot of money for a business wallet, and she had an investment meeting in Amsterdam, and I was with her like, oh, I wish you good luck. And that was like cool people, you know. And they made a test sending. They wanted to send her in crypto, the amount of investment. They signed, you know, some papers, and they made a test sending towards her that she confirmed the wallet. She received it, and then they said, okay, we take this wallet. And then she went back. She came to Malta. She opened up the wallet, and it was drained. And they mirrored her wallet on the table next to her. So, and it was a big amount. They saw the amount. Yeah, that's a crazy part. So I think for VPNs, that is, it was good, but also there is like, yeah, I think when you have a lot of assets, you have to be with people who have holding a lot of assets. I think they have the best information. And that was a bit my 2 cents. We want now the access to the assets. We're talking about the wealth distribution now. It's a time where money is getting, you know, differently shared. Everyone has now the possibility to have assets, gain a lot of money, but there is, of course, the responsibility and the self-learning. Self-learning. I would never click on links and stuff like that. I would always make sure, you know, look 3-4 times and be with people who have the same mind towards security. You know, I am in many, just to let you know, I'm in many WhatsApp groups, you know, promoting all these airdrops and stuff like that. It's incredible how they share their data. Really share seed phrase, share everything. I go like, my God, they're so naja, Alien, you feel me. Thank you so much that I could share. For everyone who wants also a little bit more education towards what is a DAO, an ecosystem, and so on, we hold 3 live spaces. Monday is Chain Reaction, where we are talking about, in general, the Web3 market. We are keeping basically on facts. We don't have noisy things around us. We're very close to logic and mathematics, what we're building. Wednesdays, I have date nights with people out of Web3. And Fridays, we have the Web3 arena where everyone is welcome to, you know, to be with us. And it's an open mic session. Thank you so much, Alien. And I'm so happy next Tuesday to listen to episode 3. Yes. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you so much for sharing all that information. You're such a light in this space, and it's always much appreciated to have you. Very sad to hear about what happened to your friend. Hopefully, she's able to recover from that. To be honest, because that sounds
It took,
absolutely
yes,
brutal.
I forgot. 2 years. It took 2 years. She needed everything new, everything,
Oh my
birth
God.
certificate. Yeah. Mostly she was afraid about her children because, you know, you get like phobia because you think now if everyone has your, you know, she was thinking about moving and the children were so small, and there was much more coming in than that she was naked. It was the whole, I mean, 2 years living in fear. That was the problem. And all the pictures of 8 years on her mobile, you know, she went through the pictures. She started crying. She said everyone can use it. And funny enough, yesterday I was 2 hours invited to school, to my son's school, class 4, year 4. He's 8. And there were 2 Maltese police forces. They go into cybersecurity, cyberbullying, and data protection. And I was listening to these 2 policemen, and I said, "Hey, by the way, you're like 8 years too late going to schools now. You're just too late. The data's out." And they said, "Yeah, and you see, you can, with the pictures of your children at the beach, you know, you don't find any photo of my son in the internet. No photo. One photo when he was a baby, but you only see his back." Because I come from the media section, I know what we can do with films and everything, turning something into, you know, I just take a photo of someone and then the headline is, you know, something sexual or something. I love children, and, you know, that guy is gone. That is reputation, deformation. That is what the power is with pictures. If you have kids, people, don't share your pictures of your kids. Please do not. Because look, someone asked me, can I share from Eric a photo? He was at the beach. I said, no way. Oh, why not? I said, listen, if my son wants to maybe have a political, how do you say, career or something, you know, in, you know, something meaningful, and then someone takes his face, turning it to an AI, put a nice voiceover, and they can take by the way his voice then, right? Everything is out there. So they turn a video with him, and it's hard to get it out of the internet. It's there. It's shared. It gets a meme. Cyberbullying, it's happening the same. People, we have to go on chain. Sorry, Alien. We have to be on chain. We have to be on chain with our data. That's basically the result of my last 14 months DAO. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I definitely agree that we need to be on chain because, like, honest to God, like this is the way we kind of get our personal sovereignty back, right? This is the way we get access that we control our own data, that we're more secure, we're more private in our transactions. Nobody is stealing our data and selling it. I mean, that's like the most like invasive, like it almost it makes you sick to your stomach to just think about that, and I couldn't agree more about, I don't have any children, but if I were to have any children, I'm not sharing any
You
pictures of
wouldn't do
them.
it. No, I
Right.
know that. You wouldn't do it, Alien. You wouldn't do it. I find it also like prostitution. Just think about the word. So why these two policemen were hosting their 2 hours lesson about social cybercrime, cyberbullying, I mean, he's still too young, but they're also in the games already for the young children chats. And it calls social engineering. Social engineering means they're, adults, they're leading these children to get information. Yeah, where do you living? How is your mommy doing? So cyber engineering is basically a criminal. It's a crime. It's a cyber crime, and take it to get data. And maybe your mom needs a credit card, okay, or somebody's asking for help. Can you go to your mom's credit? All this shit. And these kids, we have to protect them. And it's funny that why these policemen were there, that a lot of mothers start to delete photos of their Facebook pictures of their kids. And I went like, okay, it's still out. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna unmute myself. Sorry, but these are topics I think it's more than scams, hacks. It's protect yourself, how to protect yourself. It starts also to protect basically you, your family, your identity. It's prostitution what happened 32 years Web 2 internet. They took our data and sold it, and we don't even know where, you know.
No, I love when you like just tell it like it is. It really is prostitution at the end of the day, So no, I think that these types of conversations are really important, even if we're not talking like on chain, how to protect yourself on chain, even off chain, it's like this kind of sets like the foundational layer for you to be able to be proactive with just like protecting yourself in every single facet, right? Because kind of like what Jin said, it's like we've kind of been used and abused, like, to tell you the truth, and they just do whatever they want with our information. They sell it to whoever they want. I think Apple actually is currently going through a lawsuit because, and I know you guys are going to know about this when I mention it, but they're going through a lawsuit because Siri is apparently actually listening to our conversations. Hence why, hence why you go on Google. You were just talking about dog food, and all of a sudden you see an ad for dog food. It's actually like it's mind blowing. And guess what, guys? They just get away with this shit. They get away with this shit. I think, was it Wells Fargo a couple years back? I think it was like 5 or 10 years ago. Wells Fargo, they were actually like, there was like this whole like elaborate scam with Wells Fargo where they were like creating fake accounts, fake
Yeah, I know
accounts.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
insane,
Yes.
insane. They were literally creating fake accounts for like people who were like using their services, opening new accounts in their name, and to basically just like have this like and then they were taking the money or something. I don't really remember the full extent of it, but guess what? They just got reprimanded. They just got a slap on the wrist, and that was that. So it's like, unless you're a rich, like, like one of these like rich institutional players, some kind of like banking service, it's like we literally don't mean anything, right? We literally don't mean anything. So that's why, again, moving on chain in every single facet is one of the most important things, even with social media too. Like, even with social media, like, they're selling our data. Obviously TikTok was just banned, but it's unbanned now. But we need social media platforms to tell you the truth, that are on chain, and we really need to like prioritize this as a collective. But we're already heading in that path. We're already heading in that path undoubtedly. And you know, everybody's kind of like waking up, where there's like this domino effect that's happening, where, you know, our friends, for example, see what we're doing, and eventually in due time they kind of start jumping on board as well, because they start having issues, or they start going through different experiences that are kind of like a catalyst for them to get on chain, or to get into Web3, get into crypto. So in due time, right? But okay, let's go to the next speaker here, Adele. And Norbert, if you don't mind co-hosting for a second, I just have to step away for a second. Thank you so much. But Adele, so happy to have you here, my friend. We would love to hear from you. The mic is yours.
Okay, first of all, before greeting, I would want to ask if I'm being heard. Is anyone hearing me?
Yes.
Yes. All good.
All right. I want to appreciate and I want to say I see the Bitcoin always the host. I appreciate you, Alien, for your invite. Norbert, I see you. Virginia, I was listening to you and I really learned from what you said, and I hope your friend is actually very okay now. So Greek, and you know, the rest of the people on the space. I see everyone. All protocols duly observed. So I want to like appreciate the speakers for putting up such a wonderful topic for discussion today, because just as Virginia said, there is really there has been a lot of adoption. There is a mass adoption in the crypto, Web3, Web2 spaces. There has been a mass adoption. And, you know, a lot of persons are being adopted, and then, you know, they are not groomed in terms of security properly. Just like I think it was Michael who posted that. He said, if you don't inform people, you know, about these things, you're bringing them on board, but you don't let them know the full details about these things, you're actually doing them a disservice. I like what he said, and that's actually true. You're all right. So to the people that have that are actually on a stage where their informations can be used against them, you know, is actually a very big problem. And to those who um, are actually experiencing a kind of wipe off. What I mean by wipe off is, you know, for those that are on crypto, you see, you're trying to like gather up for yourself, and someone is like wiping all of your accounts, you know, wiping everything empty. Or, you know, like I said, the other ones who have their personalities used against them, you know, like Virginia just said, you know, her friend's informations were used against her on the dark spaces, on the dark space. All right. So this information, what I have listened to today, I think Michael is already off the space. I really want to appreciate Michael for like taking his time to talk about these things, because these are like vital information. These are alphas that we really want to hear. I actually wanted to ask if there's going to be a space like this, but Alien had already said it. You know, there's going to be an episode 3 and maybe 4 or 5. But I feel like this is a topic that should probably and properly be delved into. This is a topic that needs a lot of you know dissection. We need to like go deeper into it, because like I said, the people are adopted into crypto spaces, and the truth is some of them come to earn, some of them come to make for themselves, but not everybody are aware of these things. All right, so these things, the scams happens on a particular percentage every day. You know, people are actually taken a victim of, and they don't have access to informations like this. All right, I came up this space. I was actually invited by Alien. I came up this space. I was thinking I would see a crowd of like, you know, 1,000, you know, 2,000, because I looked at the theme of the discussion. It's really wonderful, but then I looked at the number of persons that are listeners. It's like it's not comparable. I feel like the whole Bitcoin always community on Discord should have been on the space. I feel like the space should have been retweeted, because for me, all right, I have to like listen to the recording, and then I need to like digest it so that I can share it out for my community members, because I tell you, this is not an information, this is not an alpha that should be kept on a reserve. It's not something that should be kept like a secret. This is something you let go, like you let out of the box. People need to like hear about these things. All right. I don't know who was actually talking, but there was someone who said something about applying for a job on LinkedIn. There was a time that that stuff happened to me, and it took me I think months, after a whole lot of depression, to realize that I was actually scammed. I was scammed. I didn't know it. It was after, a friend of mine actually told me, after I got so depressed. I was like, I lost the opportunity and stuff. I was feeling it was from me, but it was not from me. It was scam, and I actually did not know it. And there are so many people out there. So I feel like this space should have been retweeted properly. We have already more than 20 to 25 or 30 members here. I feel like this space should have been retweeted properly, to adopt more people into this space that should come and hear. There are wells, there are a lot of chats who do not have the information when it comes to cybersecurity, when it comes to data protection. So I feel like, this is a space that, so many people, need to be aware of. I really want to like appreciate the host. I want to appreciate the co-host for putting up this kind of topic for a discussion tonight. It's really amazing. I really have been having issues with the connection. If anyone noticed, I was coming on and going off. I was really, really disturbed. But I know that I'm gonna have to like listen to the recording, and I'm gonna take a whole lot for myself and for my community. All right. So I just feel like this is what I wanted to say. I want to appreciate all of the speakers for coming in well prepared. I really want to say thank you. And to the rest of the listeners, I hope that you're not just listening, but there is something that you're going to get from here. And if you did not implement it, you're going to start implementing it. And that you're not just going to keep this kind of information to yourself, because some of us are really kind of that kind of person. You hear something like this, it's like it's just for you. It's not just for yourself. All right, it's for the masses out there. All right, it's for your community, because I know a lot of us have communities. Like Virginia was saying, she's a person that promotes a lot of e-jobs. So you have a lot of followers. Your followers needs to be aware of this. Everyone needs to be aware of this. All right, in as much as we are going into a society where everything is going to a very big level. The AI is taken to a greater level. These things can be used against you. All right. So I feel like we all need to be aware of this. In as much as we are having a mass adoption, they also need to be aware. They also need to be aware of this. There should be a mass adoption in terms of cyber security. There should be a mass adoption in terms of data protection knowledge. I feel like that should be made possible. So I really want to appreciate this space. And I think I've actually been missing out. So from today, whenever I see a notification on this kind of space from Alien, I think I'm really going to like hop in. So thank you for letting me speak. Thank you for letting me be a listener. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, my friend. Really, it's always so nice having you here, and I really appreciate how much you appreciate this type of content. And just you've just I've always been such a positive advocate in the space. Always trying to push to educate, always trying to push to empower our community. So it's always so nice to have you here. And yeah, honestly, what he said was very correct. We should all be kind of retweeting the space, because there is so much valuable information here that our community members, our friends might not have tapped into the call today, but they could definitely get some good alpha, some good insights, some good information from this space. So I highly recommend retweeting the space to your friends, because obviously not all of them could make it here. And Michael, who was the senior business development manager for Consensus, was here earlier, by the way. So for those of you who have like just recently joined, I highly recommend going back and listening to the recording, because he dropped so much information that literally like I was mind blown. Like I had not known about those scams at all, those types of hacks at all. And like I've been on the internet since I kid you not, like since I was like 5 or 6 years old. I've been a gamer my whole life, and so I've encountered all different types of scams, all different types of hacks and fraudulent, bad actors. Um, but yeah, so he really dropped some good alpha. So I highly recommend going back and just like listening to the recording when you guys have some time. But let's go on to our next speaker, Soul Geek. You've had your hand up for quite some time. It's so nice to have you here, my friend. The mic is yours. Soul Geek. You there, my friend?
Uh, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. BOSM guys, BOSM, right? Okay. It's so nice to be here, and I must confess I've learned a lot, and I've also been flagged as my account. I had to do a little bit of testing with Michael's. Will I say a punch, or how do I put it? A secret. The secret he dropped. Checking out if your account has been traced or been used, or and I went through some of my account and I noticed that wow, I've literally been giving to the public all my details, thinking I was keeping it to myself. So I think this space should be on more like a daily basis if it's permitted, because there are a lot of people out there that have no idea on what security in crypto in Web3 has to do, because most persons are just after what they are wanting to get, so right, the pay and stuff like that, forgetting the essential thing. And I actually had an ugly experience back then where I was much younger, not into Web3. I think it was my green app, the WhatsApp that was hacked and stuff like that. And this guy just hacked it. It was quite funny because I didn't even have to go to any phishing link. I just sat at the comfort of my house. I got a call that, from a group where my father has his people talk seminars on health and stuff like that. So he came posting like he's a member of that group, and he asked me to send the code for a transaction because regularly I do more transactions to my dad. I help him out, and he said I should send the link, and the link just popped up. And I just gave him the link, thinking, okay, it's a normal transaction link, because he sounded like someone that I know. And that was how I lost my account. And it didn't take up to 24 hours. He threatened my siblings that he's going to post my nudes. And funny enough, I had no nudes there. So it was quite funny. But I actually lost lots of contact there and information. Now, bringing that to Web3, I think it's more efficient. Like Mama said, that's Virginia. Yeah, promise me, I'm her adopted son. Yeah, she said what two actually stole from us, which more or less like I don't want to say the word right, but you know what I mean when she said about we giving our information and it's been sold out, which which was really bad. I think what kept us back was lack of information. We had no idea on stuff like this. That okay, it should be something that we should protect. We didn't really see it in the light of keeping our details secured and stuff like that. We felt okay, it's just normal login details and recovery. Not until today, and thank God for Michael who brought to the light that okay, your recovery phrase, most of us use phone numbers, which I'm guilty of, and stuff like that. So for me, I think today, and thank God for Michael who brought to the light that okay,
You're cutting out,
your
my friend.
recovery phrase,
You're rugging.
which I'm guilty of, and yeah. Stuff like that. Sorry, can you hear me? For me, I think
Yes, but okay, I don't know what's going on. You're cutting out, my friend. You're rugging.
yeah, sorry.
Okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure what's going on right now because I don't see the speaker on here.
Me neither. Twitter is rocking as usual.
Oh my God, that was intense. Because I literally removed the speaker and Twitter was just still doing its thing, man. I swear to
You
God.
can't handle it.
I literally can't handle it.
I think
Um,
he's back.
he is back,
Maybe.
yeah. Let me bring him
Yeah.
up. Thank you, Elon Musk. We absolutely love that. My ears are bleeding. Soul, welcome back, my friend. Feel free to feel free to finish off what you were saying. Soul, going once, going twice. Soul, last chance, last chance. And you're out. I'm so sorry, my friend. But when you're back, feel free to finish off what you were saying. Yeah, he's been rugging like he tends to rug like pretty much every space. So this is not new for Soul Geek. But Sage, welcome, welcome. So nice to have you as a speaker, my friend. So good to see you here. Would love to hear from you about your experience or any tips or advice that you'd like to share. So the mic is yours. Oh, Sage does not want to speak. Is that correct?
Or maybe just having issues. Which
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, he's probably having issues. That's fine. That's fine. All right. Well, I guess we'll wait for Soul Geek to come back. If anybody else wants to chime in, if you want to share some tips, some advice, or just even your experience about, if you've been scammed, if you've been hacked, so on and so forth, like this is the space to do it in. And I want you to know that there's like no embarrassment or shame that goes around this. Like literally, this is just like an educational space. We're learning from each other. Like don't feel ashamed, don't feel embarrassed. Like we all go through a various amount of learning experiences. I've done so many stupid things in on chain and off chain. So yeah, so I just want to share that with you so that you don't feel embarrassed to like come up and speak about anything, because we'd love to hear from you. But Sage is ready to talk, so the mic is yours, my friend. Sage, go ahead.
Maybe you can drop down to audience and come back if you want to speak and unable to unmute the mic. It's really likely, really possible that Twitter is
Yeah.
rugging us. But I think to like build up on that point, what you said, and that's what the whole space is about. Kind of just passing down the information. I think we all have to start somewhere. We enter the space Web3 is wild, wild west, and again, we have that kind of head start. And I feel like what's been kind of happening, and more people has been onboarded over the weekend. So I think someone is struggling, just give them a helping hand. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. Least you want is someone is entering, interested in learning about it, and they just do something silly. They do something stupid because sadly there are bad players that are literally targeting newbies. So I think just like giving them a head start, and again, the least you want is someone interested, get hacked, and they immediately leave. Because again, why would I want to stay in a space where dishonest people are existing? And it's sadly bearish for the market where unable to participate in. But yeah, Sage, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, so Jim, Norbert, Claire, Jim to you too. I Bitcoin OS, Jim. Sorry, I don't know my network. Is it network or X? I think it's X because I couldn't unmute. That was why I was giving a thumbs down. Like
Yeah, it
so.
was it was X. Yeah, I muted everybody because of the chaos that was happening with Soul Geek earlier, and then for some reason, yeah, X just was rugging. So yeah, um, but yeah, would love to hear from you, Sage, and welcome again as a speaker.
Yeah, yeah. So scam hacks, how to protect yourself, man. Stuff actually when it comes to protection. Especially when it comes to decentralized wallet. I haven't experienced hack, right? Okay, I have, sorry. What am I saying? I have experienced hack, and I think it was my system. My system was hacked. right? A particular time. I think that was around October. Yeah, and that was my mistake because most acts, right? Most acts are sometimes your mistakes, and some few, very few are ones that you don't even know about. So one of the things I use as a medium, right, to protect myself is that there are some technologies. I think I don't really know some of the names right now, but there's some dabs like you can go check if you are being washed, right? If you are being washed or you are being hacked, because sometimes they are one of the things that these hackers do are they literally watch your account or place your account on a particular automated withdrawal system, right? Meaning that once you deposit a good amount of money that meets the boat standard, the boat automatically withdraws it without even you interfering, without even you knowing. So you could maybe think that you're not hacked already, but you keep dispensing. The day, or you keep depositing. The day a good amount of funds that meets the standard of the boat comes in, it's just withdrawn immediately. So sometimes I like to say that when it comes to how you can protect yourself, try not to use your major wallet addresses to the public. Like, take for instance, like right now, NFTs are flying, whitelists are flying. Most people just tend to use their wallet addresses their um they use for their major fund holding. They post it out to the public, and they don't know that these things are being monitored. People literally go to pick wallets, right, to monitor those wallets, track those wallets, and try to hack them, right? So to prevent yourself when whatever it is, airdrops, NFTs, whitelist I get maybe as giveaways, or maybe someone sends to me, or I'm sending my address to someone to send me money. I don't use, when it comes to general exchangers, I don't use my major funds wallet. I use a Bona wallet. I call it the Bona wallet, like a second wallet I create, right, just to protect myself. And one of the things that I think has helped me so far because I have like different devices, right? So I create different wallets on different devices so that I'm able to protect my device at the same time protect my wallet, right? Because you just don't know when you can be hacked, right? So mine happened on my system. The one that took place, I think, some couple of was it's actually a job because I'm into jobs, I'm into marketing, right? So I was supposed to have an interview with Todd Webb. I remember Todd Webb, right? So I don't know what happened. Someone else reached out to me, then was like trying to hack like Todd Webb. Like my interview with Todd Webb was literally meant to hold, but somebody else reached out. I was trying to act like Todd Webb, and I didn't go check the links and stuff like that and the names, right? I just like followed up, booked the meeting. And when I booked the meeting, it was crazy. My system went off all of a sudden, like just went off and came back on again. And because I studied computer science in school, like I have an idea of hacking to an extent. So I was like, oh my God, fuck. So I noticed immediately. So my stuff started acting up. I couldn't browse again. I couldn't browse again. So I had to like just go redo some command prompts, and I was able to like stabilize it immediately before I was hacked into my wallet and all of that. So I think one of the ways you just try to is to protect yourself, right? Especially when you're not a tech savvy, right? Because to an extent, I can use command prompt. So some people don't know how to use command prompt to protect themselves with that, and they just get drained totally. And the wallets I use, I just moved all of my funds to new wallets, right? I created new wallets on new devices, move it to new wallets. Like, when you create your wallet on Solana, let's say Phantom or say Bitcoin, like when you create several wallets, it's still on that particular, what would I call application. You understand? So it's still not safe. So it's either you create on that, open another application on maybe on that device and create several wallets on it and just transfer funds to it, right? It's more safer there, right? So just like try to be safe, right? Because avoid using your major addresses to the public even when you want to like send money and stuff like that. I even heard something that some wallet addresses are flagged when we are sending money to or sending funds to a centralized exchanges. You can be flagged. So it's crazy. The decentralized space is actually interesting, but at the same time, there are a lot of things that you just have to be cautious of so that you don't get drained at the end of the day. So I think that's the little I can see here. Probably that's the little I can see here. So thank you so much. Alien, right? I love the space, right? I think this is the first space that Bitcoin OS have held, and I've attended and I have spoken. All of the spaces have been missed, and I was about to miss this. I just checked my time. I was like, "Oh my god!" and I had to rush. I had to rush here. So, thank you so much, guys. And nice meeting you, Nobet, and every other persons on the space. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Sage. Thank you for always like coming in and this community is like just so friendly, man. Like I love these conversations so much. They're such casual conversations, but they're of such importance, and it's always nice to kind of just like talk to you guys and hear your experience, and we kind of like learn from each other, bounce ideas off of each other. So these kinds of spaces are honestly like one of my favorite to participate in. So thank you so much, Sage, for being here and contributing. Sharing your alpha, sharing your knowledge. It's much appreciated. And then we have time for just one more question. Lord Dre, you came on, so if you'd like to contribute, the mic is yours. And then from there, I'm just going to give you guys a quick recap of like what Michael discussed earlier. And also just a little bit about what we discussed before we end the space. So, Lord Dre, if you would like to talk, my friend, the mic is yours.
Hello.
Hey, we can hear you, by the
Hey
way.
everyone. Like, what I want to think about is that there are some fake links out now, and they always lie, or they always create some links to scam people, and they create it under Solana projects. And creating that link, they will be requesting people to follow them and add their um Solana or Solana address, and they use some ways to hack their wallet, and as well as some farming projects, and those farming projects they ask people to bridge from one coin to another, and from that bridging they usually hack wallets from the process, and that's have make some people to lose their wallet. And as well, there are some problems online as well on uh on and we in Nigeria we always focus on something or something we think will favor us. What I'm saying is that we focus on something that we think is like a gift, or is like something we are not putting anything to, and that make us to lose to look to lose something more more big than the thing we want to we are aiming on. That's what is causing those wallet hacking. When we are demanding some things that is small, and when we're doing something that we think we can get a small thing from, and we're losing a big thing, when and as what I've heard from this space before is that someone needs to create some wallets on a different device, so that uh he will be using, or she will be using his or wallet that didn't have any asset to do some airdrop, because some airdrop that is out now is a scam. And I would what my advice to people is that whenever they want to do an airdrop, or they want to click any link online, the they should check it well, and make sure to use uh make sure to use a new wallet, so that their wallet will not be hacked. That's what I think I can say to this to what is going on here.
Thank you so much, Lord Dre. That was much appreciated. And Kind of to just kind of jump on what you were saying about like new wallets. My take with that is that if you can, try to keep your wallets on a device that you don't use for day-to-day activities. So if you have like a separate phone, maybe you just got a new separate phone, or you have like an old, I wouldn't even say old laptop, even that's kind of like kind of running on the border there. But if you can use a separate device for any kind of like asset transaction that you have, that's also a very secure way of like protecting yourself, right? One that you're not connecting to on like just social media. You're not downloading any links, you're not doing anything, or you're not opening any links, you're not downloading anything. That's also a very secure way of kind of like protecting yourself. So let's just kind of like recap.
I think there's a good advice as well when someone is using a different wallet on a different device. So when she is willing to attend any airdrop, someone will just use the one that is he or she is not using for day-to-day activities. That's a good advice. That's a good advice.
Yeah, no, thank you for expanding on that. And, if you are going to be making wallets, just make sure that you're actually writing down like access like to your keys, right? Your secret phase. You're writing that down and like keeping it somewhere safe. It's not being stored on your in your notes on your iPhone. It's not being stored as like a screenshot, right? There's these I think it's called a clipboard hack. But what they'll do is they'll basically like search through your photo library to see if they can find like access to your keys. A lot of people have gotten scammed like that. A lot of people have gotten hacked like that. So again, that's also just very important as a means of like protecting yourself. But Israel, I see that you've requested, my friend. We're pretty much like wrapping up here, and then Norbert's hopefully gonna bless us with some like final remarks. But I just want to give you guys a quick recap of like what we discussed today. And I truly like implore you, if you have just joined, please, please, please go back and listen to the recording. We had Michael from Consensus on earlier, and he's the senior business development manager there. He also works with Wallet Guard, as well as MetaMask, and he shared like some crazy alpha. Once again, like I've a lot of information that I had not known previously, and I've been chronically online since I was like a little kid. So highly recommend going back and listening to the recording of this space. But also, we have a bunch of posts that are pinned to this space that Michael shared earlier. Like different types of like websites that you can look at. For example, pentester.com. If you go to pentester.com, you can actually put in your email address, possibly your phone number too, but and it'll go and look up and see if your information was sold on the dark web. It'll, tell you about like different passwords of yours that are exposed. So this is definitely something to kind of like look into and empower yourself with. So definitely look at the top pinned like posts and utilize them for your benefit. Wallet Guard as well. He actually touched up on this earlier. Wallet Guard is actually a browser extension that you can basically use on your browser. And what it'll do is it'll basically like identify when there's a potential like bad actor or like some kind of like I don't know if it was like a virus, but definitely will basically identify bad actors. So I highly recommend looking into Wallet Guard as well. I actually just clipped it to my browser recently, and it's been amazing. So they literally like prevented, I think, $60 million in scam prevention. So if that says anything to you, I would highly recommend looking into that. But let me just dive in quickly, just do a quick recap. So if you store your assets on a hard wallet, do not keep the keys on your phone, like by any means. Like it should be written down and put somewhere safe, right? Do not screenshot it, because these clipboard hacks are very much a thing. Like, they'll go into your photo library, and they'll be able to swift through your photos and literally find that specific screenshot that gives access to your keys, right? So be very, very, very cautious with that. um if something's too good to be true, um, don't fall for it. Bottom line, when in doubt, don't click on any links. Right, like that's just kind of like common sense for us. Norbert is rugging. Let me bring him back up. So yeah, when in doubt, obviously don't fall for it, right? If it's too good to be true, don't fall for it. What we actually discussed earlier was like there's a lot of like scammers that are targeting job hunters as well, and a lot of us obviously want to go full-time crypto, right? We want to be full-time Web3, and so they are, I would say, definitely targeting more so people who have like community manager and community moderator in their name. So again, guys, if it's too good to be true, like it probably is. So, and they'll typically like they'll share like, hey, like, oh, this is the project that I'm working with. Go to that project, check and see if it's legitimate. Do they actually have a legitimate following? Do they have a legitimate like social media presence? Their Discord, their Telegram, even contact them, if you will, to make sure that this is legitimate, right? Always go to the source. Um, Another thing that we actually didn't discuss, but that I'd like to bring up too, is be vigilant on who you let close, like into your personal circle, right? These scammers have become so elaborate and creative with their scams that they will literally spend weeks and months getting close to you on a personal level, only to hack you later on. And I say this because I mentioned earlier, I grew up gaming, and this is actually something that would happen in this game called Old School RuneScape, where people would befriend you, and for a very long time, like weeks and months on end, like you guys would play the game together, you guys would raid together, would go questing together, and then in the end, their entire goal was to literally scam you. So that's kind of the situation here as well. Like, don't, people will spend the time to be able to get into your circle, as a means of like scamming you. So stay vigilant of that. Don't download anything. I mean, that's just number one, right? Like, just be vigilant. Don't download anything. Make sure that if you are downloading something, that it's completely official, right? Like, always be as skeptical as you possibly can be. And then, of course, what we just said is go to the source. For example, if you get an email from your bank that your account's been compromised, go to the source. Go to your bank account. Go log in. Check and see, is this actually true? You know what I mean? Just remain skeptical. Always remain skeptical, so that you can just move with absolute caution. Use a virtual private network, guys, a VPN. Now, if you don't know what a VPN is, it's basically a software. And what it does is it encrypts your data and masks your IP address so you're private online. This, like, I could not recommend this, like, more. And Michael actually talked about downloading Mulvad VPN, MULLVAD VPN. I would have to say that that is absolutely the best VPN out there. They don't ask for your email, they don't ask for any of your information, none of that, right? They have no goal of actually like selling your data. So I would say that Mulvad VPN is amazing. Malwarebytes, I've literally been using this for years and years and years. Highly recommend that as like an antivirus as well to protect your devices. Highly recommend looking into that. Michael also mentioned that. And he also mentioned that both of these two will cost you about $40 a year. Obviously, all of us have way more than $40 in assets, like in our wallets. So, definitely go that extra mile, guys. Go that extra mile to protect yourself, because your time is so extremely valuable. Like, you put so much time and effort into actually, like, making money and learning everything that it took to make that money. So it's like, protect yourself. Like, yes, these conversations are not sexy, which is why we don't have 5,000 people in here, right? But ultimately, this is a very, very, very important matter, especially in this space. Another thing that we talked about is revoke approvals, right? Anytime you've put a transaction to go through, make sure you utilize a platform like Revoke Cash to make sure you go in and revoke those approvals. That should just be, kind of like just another security metric that you implement in your practice, not something that you need to like go in and do every single day, but definitely, if you haven't actually utilized Revoke Cash, I would go and check it out like after this space. Um, what else did we talk about? We said another important factor here too is, if you can, obviously keep your wallet on a device that you don't use for day-to-day activities, right? Keep all the transactions that you're doing on a device that you're not using for downloading things, clicking links, so on and so forth, right? That's just another really solid way to kind of like just secure yourself and your assets. And then another thing too is just to have emotional control. Uh, Obviously, a lot of these scammers understand that we are basically fear-based beings. Fear-based being, we're emotion-based beings, right? So they're going to be able to utilize like psychology tactics to kind of like get what they want from us, manipulate us. And especially once again when it comes to those like job listings, right? Like they're really kind of like targeting people who are in a very vulnerable state. The job market sucks right now. Like it is brutal. There's thousands and thousands of applicants for like one job. People are literally getting jobs that they're well overqualified for. Like it's absolute chaos out there, and these scammers are very well aware of this. So they're creating these creative, elaborate scams to basically like scam us. And so just make sure that you have emotional control. Just double check everything, remain skeptical, remain cautious, be vigilant. And of course, with that, Norbert, if you have any final remarks, my friend, we would love to hear from you.
Honestly, well summarized. It's been a long spaces, but again, if you're just joining in late, it's been recorded. So much valuable information. Like Alien said, even for me, the first hour with Michael shared so much information that I was, somewhat aware of. But if you're listening to this now, live or later, make sure to actually do the action. Don't just do it and like, oh, I acknowledge that there's like issues I should be doing. And whenever issue arises and you get hacked, and there's sadly nothing you can do at that point. And this is still a wild, wild west when we're talking about how early on in crypto we definitely see some more regulations, but bad actors do exist in Web 2 and in Web 3. So please make sure to take action. Don't just hope that you'll be safe. Actually do whatever is being recommended by us, and more importantly from Michael. Again, like pin tweets, super valuable, honestly. Like I checked them out. I'll definitely gonna take my time and do it. I already did a little bit of cleaning during the spaces, but make sure you always, always verify. I think we do end up in an emotional feeling when there's an opportunity arises. We always tend to take it granted that it's legit. And 5 minutes later we realize and we kind of went over that peak adrenaline and peak rush feeling that, oh crap, this is not true and I did something wrong. So don't feel like that way, and just educate your people, educate your friends around you. I think we'll see a mass adoption, mass more people entering the space. If you've been here longer than your friend, just tell them one advice or one or two, or again, send them this space. I think Alien did an amazing job summarizing it, as well as getting Michael and some other incredible speakers on stage. But I think with that being said, like super excited to be back here next week and continue the series.
Norbert, thank you so much, so much. Like your presence here has been so appreciated, and same to everybody that's been here. Like big shout out to you guys. Like I said, these conversations they're not sexy, right? Like we're not here like making money, learning how to make money, but we're learning how to protect ourselves. Like this is just as important as as learning how to make like learning how to become a trader, learning technical analysis, learning fundamental analysis. Like these scams are so elaborate. So learning this is just as important. So shout out to every single person that's here, because you are truly doing what it means to do your own research, to do the due diligence for yourself. And for your community as well, guys, because guess what? Now that you have this information, you're going to start sharing this with your community as well. You're going to share this with your friends. And kind of like what Norbert said too, especially after this weekend, we're having so many newcomers, so many noobs into the space, right? So and that's obviously going to be the case for like the next couple months, right? Retail is pretty much here, and we're going to see more of that like coming into fruition over the next couple months. So all we can do is kind of lead with education, lead with love, compassion, kindness, authenticity, transparency, but obviously with sharing this type of information for like first and foremost, right? Because kind of like what Norbert said is, if these newbies come into the space and then they get scammed and hacked right away, guess what? They leave. Like there's no way that people are going to want to stay here after that, unless they've like truly immersed themselves and become so passionate, right? But like a lot of the times that's not necessarily the case. They're here to just make money. But unlike us, like we're here because like we literally love the tech, we love the innovation, like we really want to be a part of this space as much as we possibly can, but some people are just here to make money, right? But still, we still want those people, because guess what? We were also those people at one point. And then we immersed ourselves in the space. We became unapologetically in love with everything here. So that's likely to be the same path for them as well. So, all we can really do at the end of the day is we can continue to share this information, we can continue to move with education, and of course, like compassion, love, transparency, authenticity. These types of like narratives, and this type of like mindset is so important. We need to be as welcoming as we possibly can, because mass adoption is like mass adoption of this space is like one of the most important things. Everybody deserves, personal sovereignty. Everybody deserves freedom, and this is where we're moving forward with in this space, right? We're moving towards a space where, we kind of have our power back. And so we want everybody to know this. We want everybody to experience this. We want everybody to be onboarded on this. And on top of that, this is also one of fastest ways the fastest ways to get rich. Like, absolutely, the fastest way to financial freedom is here. And of course, we want our community to experience that, right? So thank you guys all so much for being here. Like I said, we have these spaces every single week, every Tuesday around the same time, which was about 2.5 hours ago. So it's 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Which is, I know that a lot of my Nigerian friends are here, so that would be 6 p.m. West African time. So would love to see you all here again next week. And thank you all so much for being here. It was just a pleasure just chatting with all of you. Norbert, thank you so much. Sage, Ridwan, Lord Dre. Shout out to Mr. CJ, my friend. So good to see you here. Jason, the Traveler. Comtrunity, Crypto Ada, love my Cardano family. We have Anger for Christ. So happy to see you here, my friend. Jerry Bulb, Hilton, Bill Josh, Crypto, Israel. Nedu, sorry, I'm butchering that. Ani30KU, we have Troll MX, Abraham, Easy, and Sadie. So good to see you guys here, and hopefully we can see you all next week. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and I hope you have a fantastic, bullish week in every asset. Love you guys. Take care.